the weakest talent. Have you heard of Senju? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Solutions. Everyone present suddenly didn't know how to dissuade Ye Chen. As Ye Chen said, this is an agreement between two people, and it goes without saying how sincere the Kankai Academy gave at the beginning point meeting is like 10,000 spirit stones. You must know that Kankai Academy is already a name for nothing. There are not even a few S-class students, and the materials allocated by the Terran to the Sky Academy are getting less and less. Being able to give out 10,000 spirit stones is already a big gamble. How could Ye Chen live up to the expectations of Kankai Academy? I think it's not impossible to do this. Zhang Zilei suddenly interjected. Kankai Academy, there is no need for guidance on a series of things in teaching. What it wants is students. As long as Ye Chen has a reputation, as long as your sister is also listed as a mentor in Kankai Academy, I believe my father will be very happy. Zhang Zilei's words shocked everyone. Zhang Daosheng's most hope in this half of his life is that Kankai Academy can return to its peak if Ye Chen hangs the name of the Sky Academy and then becomes a saint of the human race. He hangs the name of mentor. Isn't this student just a lot of rushing in? Not to mention the name of another Ice Phoenix saint. Not to mention returning to the peak. It is not impossible to push the capital to a higher level. Brother Zilei, I didn't expect you to be so smart. Ye Chen thought for a while and exclaimed. Zhang Zilei was speechless. I'm very smart, but how to do it specifically? Ye Chen asked again. It's very simple. You get the first place in the competition and you join Kankai College. Join the front line of the human race as a student of Kankai College, and after you become a saint, you will be named a tutor in Kankai College and give students one class every 2 months. Zhang Zi came from Gu Zi's words, then turned to look at Zhang Binking. As for you, sister, if you can directly take the name of the sky now, and you will have one class every 2 months. I believe that there will be surprises in the enrollment of the Sky College this year. Qian Meng didn't say a word, but she suddenly became interested. I have to say, Ye Chen, this guy must be worth winning. Let's do it. Add me one more, and take one class every 2 months, and the Kankai Academy will be named Qian Meng said with a smile. Ji Xiaodo was instantly happy, not for anything else. Because Ji Washang is the president of Kyoto University, and his wife and grandfather are going to the Kankai Academy to be a nominal tutor. When it spreads out, what's the matter with Ji Washang's face? It's so exciting. Piss off the old guy. I have to say that if Ji Washang knew Ji Xiaodo's inner thoughts, I'm sure it's true, he'll be pissed off. Ye Chen listened to the words of several people and thought for a while. I don't think it's impossible, but I have to discuss it with Lao Zhang. Zhang Binking and Ji Qian Meng also nodded. After all, this is what Ye Chen and Zhang Daosheng agreed upon. Speaking of which, Ye Chen is not ambiguous. He took out his phone and called Zhang Daosheng while sitting in a chair thinking about his lover and the happy time he had. Zhang Daosheng unconsciously shed tears from the corners of his eyes. Sweet, sour, bitter, salty. What are the flavors of life? No, just can't taste the specific taste. And at this time, Ye Chen's phone called. Zhang Daosheng was overjoyed. At this time, Ye Chen's phone call showed that Ye Chen's situation was safe. Stinky boy, are you okay? Zhang Daosheng's voice instantly made Ye Chen stunned. Of course I'm fine. What can I do? Ye Chen responded with a smile. It's fine. I heard that you went to other people's small world to do things. Hey, you know that. Don't laugh. You're not serious. With a smiley face. What if you die in a small world? Isn't it okay? Oh, and la. Zhang Daosheng calmed down. If Ye Chen was okay, that would prove that there was only one thing he called you. Called because Kinga invited you to join the frontline army, right? Zhang Daosheng sighed. He was already mentally prepared. Well, the man's ambition is in the quartet. Zhanghai City and Kankai College are too small after all. You deserve a bigger stage. But Pay attention to safety. Ye Chen was silent and smiled bitterly, as expected of you, old Zhang. I do have this idea, but I plan to take the college entrance examination and join the frontline army as a student of Kankiang Academy. Zhang Daosheng was stunned for a moment, but he couldn't react. Ye Chen added, moreover, Sister King and Senior Ji plan to set up a mentorship at Kankiang Academy and come to the academy for a class every 2 months. What did you say? Zhang Daosheng exclaimed. This is real. Incredible. Of course, Zhang Daosheng wanted Zhang Binking to come to the academy to make a name, but he never pulled his face down to talk about it. In fact, Zhang Binking has been waiting for Zhang Daosheng to speak about this. Father and daughter, both are dear ghosts now, taking advantage of Ye Chen's opportunity to help his father. It is perfect. I said, the 2 senior saints are going to be named Kankiang Academy as mentors. You too. Zhang Daosheng's throat was a little dry. In such a situation, you can't even think about it, right? Yes, Senior Ji Qian Meng is the one who sealed the sea beast in the waters near Zhanghe City. Ye Chen said with a smile. Okay, that's great. Zhang Daosheng was a little speechless with excitement. For the sake of Kankiang Academy, Zhang Daosheng has been busy for 10 years. From my lover's death till now, Zhang Daosheng and his wife, Li Qingsu. They are all orphans adopted by the former dean of Kankiang Academy, and the current dean of Kankiang Academy are all orphans from that group. Sky Academy, for them, has long been their home. Witnessed the peak of Kankiang Academy, and also witnessed the loneliness of Kankiang Academy. If the small family is Zhang Daosheng, Li Qingsu, Zhang Zilei and Zhang Binking. Then the bigger home is Sky Academy, and the deceased former dean. So, Mr. Zhang, do you agree? Ye Chen said with a smile. Agree. Of course agree. Don't mention the mentor, just put the name of the vice president directly. Zhang Daosheng blurted out excitedly. No, I have to tell the old ghost about this. Zhang Daosheng has never been so excited in his life. Oh, he was very excited when he married his wife and bridal chamber. Also, remember to leave me the position of an honorary mentor. It's so easy for me to hang up a saint now, Ye Chen said with a smile. But Zhang Daosheng has hung up the phone. Hey, did that stinky boy want to say something just now? Zhang Daosheng only thought of this after hanging up the phone. Well, forget it. Ask again next time. Chapter 127 The Holy Stick. Zhang Daosheng enters the stars. Ye Chen, people are stupid. In this life, no one has ever hung up on my Ye. Someone. If Zhang Daosheng knew what Ye Chen was thinking, he would probably laugh out loud. Coincidentally, there is now. The matter is settled. Lao Zhang agreed, and he smiled like a child. Ye Chen said with a shrug. That's good. Zhang Binking smiled. Zhang Binking was naturally very happy to be able to help his father. Then, the next thing is to wait for Ye Chen to settle the matter of the college entrance examination, and then he can come to the front to help, right? Ji Qian Meng said. It's almost like this. After about 10 days, take the exam, then go to the Sky Academy for a few days, and then go to the front line. Ye Chen thought for a while and said, no. Zhang Binking said suddenly, every night, many soldiers die on the front line. I can see Ye Chen's strength, let alone block a holy beast, even if the 2 holy beasts are not Ye Chen's opponents. Zhang Binking was a little dissatisfied with this time. Indeed. Ji Qian Meng also agreed with Zhang Binking's statement. However, Ye Chen's willingness to join the front line is already out of the face of the human race. The time that should be given still has to be given. Ji Qian Meng naturally wanted Ye Chen to participate in the battle earlier, but after all, Ye Chen had to make a good choice. This. Zhang Binking froze for a moment and stopped talking. She also knew that she had surpassed herself. I also want to go to the front line early. How boring it is to stay in Kyoto. Ye Chen was helpless, although he was a little disgusted by Zhang Binking's commanding tone. Ye Chen didn't care. Anyway, this front line will go sooner or later. Otherwise, where will the points go? Then, I will advance the college entrance examination to 3 days later. Zhang Binking was overjoyed and said directly, can it be earlier? Ye Chen was stunned. Some time ago, the sage of the stick said that bad things will happen during the college entrance examination. So this year's college entrance examination has been advanced for a while. Zhang Bingking said, but since I'm now in Kyoto, Senior G also if there is, the college entrance examination in advance is also a good choice, just to prevent accidents. G. Kyan Meng's eyes narrowed slightly when she heard the words, and she casually complained, is the old magician still dead? Then, he reacted again, yes, as a saint who predicts the future, he naturally needs to be well protected. He should not die. Ye Chen was a little confused. The so-called college entrance examination was just changed by your words. If it can be changed, the sooner the better, let alone 3 days. It can start tomorrow. That doesn't work either. Now that I'm instructed, Kyoto has to allocate major hotels for students to live in, and a trial will be arranged soon, and it will take 3 days at the earliest. Ji Qianmeng retorted, point as a space saint who can fight and move quickly. Ji Qianmeng has presided over the college entrance examination more than once. Point in his heyday, if the power of space is applied to ultimate, he can teleport thousands of miles. That is, he has to pay a lot of spiritual power. Logically speaking, he should not be caught like this, but why should he cover the pig teammates to escape? Ye Chen nodded and stopped talking. 3 days is not bad. Point solve this bunch of things as soon as possible and go to the front line to get points earlier. On the other side, Zhang Daosheng was about to tell the dean the good news and found the old ghost's phone number. Zhang Daosheng was suddenly shocked and a cold air rushed out of his heart. Point the cold air instantly froze all the moisture in the air. Zhang Daosheng sat down quickly and began to break through the starry sky. Pointy, who was stuck at the peak of the inverted sea state, was relieved of his heart disease today. Stepping directly into the starry realm, a chill surged into the sky. Point the West Wind Lion dynasty, who was basking in the sun, looked in the direction of Zhang Daosheng's office. That old guy broke through. The West Wind Lion King smiled slightly. Point Lan Batian naturally felt this breath and was very happy for Zhang Daosheng. Point after Zhang Daosheng stabilized his realm, his head disappeared completely. His head was full of blue silk, and even the wrinkles on his cheeks disappeared a lot. Starry. It can be said that, since Li Qingzu died, this was the happiest day for Zhang Daosheng. Point I met my daughter whom I hadn't seen for many years, completed my wife's confession before her death, to restore the glory of Kangkyang Academy, and broke through the realm that has not been touched for 10 years. Everything is like a dream. This, all thanks to Ye Chen. Zhang Daosheng suddenly felt that the phone call he made was too important, and a choice that affected his life. What he said was the one who called Li Mo and asked him to recruit Ye Chen. Until Zhang Bingking and Ji Qianmeng left, Ye Chen was still thinking about what he had forgotten. By the way, I forgot to tell Liao Zhang, your home is gone. Ye Chen suddenly realized. Zhang Zilei's eyes twitched slightly. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Then, what do we do now? This villa is finished, Ye Chen said embarrassedly. Zhang Jiraiya told Ye Chen just now that the Beast God sect came. Ye Chen was quite helpless. He went out by himself, and his home was stolen, so now the two lied directly at Ji Ziodo's house, which is next door. Zhang Zilei thought about the solution. It's really not possible. Build another building on the original foundation. It seems to be the only way. Ye Chen thoughtfully made a phone call. Hey, master, yes, it's still me. This time it's a big order. What's your big order? It's nothing. It's just rebuilding a villa. What? You ask me how I did it? I don't know. I really didn't demolish it this time. No, I didn't do it when the car hit the balcony last time. A series of dialogues made a certain master fall into contemplation. I want to know what's going on this time. Ye Chen said with a smile. I heard that it was crushed by someone's foot. If you don't want to say it, I won't ask. I'll come over tomorrow morning. Before Ye Chen could speak, the other party hung up the phone. That night, a 60-year-old master thought about it all night. I still can't figure it out. Why would someone demolish their home 4 times a week, and this time, it needs to be rebuilt? Ye Chen inexplicably listened to the busy tone on the phone and muttered, these days, no one believes the truth. Zhang Zilei was speechless. If it was before, someone told me my house was demolished 4 times in a week, and I wouldn't believe it. But now, I have to believe. When it comes to demolishing the house, you can talk about the second, but the Huskies don't dare to talk about the first. Ye Chen's whole body is not well. Hey, I'll dismantle it twice. The latter 2 times. Strictly speaking, I didn't dismantle it. Yes, you are right. I went to bed. Zang. Zilla ignored Ye Chen directly. PS. It is a complete prelude to the main line, and then it is time to change the battlefield. The birthday of the tree world that everyone is looking forward to is also being prepared. Everyone knows the lethality of this move in group battles. It can be said that it is a magical skill to clear monsters, and wooden golem can't compare to this move. So this is also the reason why it has not been born out of the tree world until now. Maybe everyone will feel that the rhythm is a bit fast. It seems that it has reached the saint, and the combat power has collapsed. All I can say is, the layout is small. Can the country level 10,000 meter Buddha be compared with the world level million meter Buddha? Chapter 128. Ji Washang is about to cry. The next morning, Ye Chen looked at himself in the mirror. The bald reflective head sighed deeply. It seems that I have to get used to the days without hair as soon as possible, unless I stop using it before Jinjaka is strengthened. Then Ye Chen, who had washed up, found dozens of people standing in front of Zhang Zilei's house. This family is too good at playing, right? It's the house torn down like this, isn't it? I saw it clearly last night. A huge arm directly destroyed the entire villa. Is that so? It's terrible. Is this a vengeance? I don't know. I don't know if the enemy has caught it. Enemy? It seems to have been given a second by a woman's gaze. Turned into ice cubes and shattered. You kidding? Turn into ice cubes, then smash. What I said is true. You have to say that. I was rear-ended by my car yesterday. In the car that rear-ended me, the husky was driving. Do you believe it? Ye Chen stood silently behind the crowd, listening to his scalp tingling. After freezing, smash directly. I haven't seen this kind of move myself, but I have heard that the ice cubes are crushed when the temperature is low enough, and the enemy will be crushed together. Sure enough, the ice element is still very strong. I'm envious. Ye Chen couldn't help but mutter to himself. But one day later, Ye Chen would not think so. Ye Chen squeezed into the crowd, only to find that the construction team was already sitting on a chair in the yard, and began to doubt life. After simply pointing out how to build it, Ye Chen left. As for why not build a house with wood style? Your sister. Aren't modern villas bad? However, during the construction, Ye Chen finally saw why these people could repair the villa so quickly. The master himself, with a talent for cement, can control the setting time of cement at any time and produce unlimited production. His apprentice, talent brick, unlimited production. And the staff, gifted with paint, electrical wiring, and even floor tiles. You tell me, why don't they make money? Whoops, these are small episodes. Last night, Ji Ziodo returned to Ji's house with Ji Kai and Meng. The entire Ji family exploded in an instant. After a lapse of decades, suddenly the ancestors jumped out and told everyone, I'm back. What do you think? When Ji Washang heard the news, he ran back from the front without stopping. Waiting in front of Ji Kai and Meng's gate early in the morning. Come in. Ji Kai and Meng had known since Ji Washang came, so he deliberately made him wait longer. The reason is because a little fat man said bad things about his grandfather in front of a big fat man last night. When Ji Washang heard Ji Kai and Meng's words, he was instantly overjoyed and hurriedly stepped forward to open the door. Ancestor, well, what's the matter with coming so early? Didn't I hear that the ancestors came back? Washang, as the current head of the Ji family, naturally needs to come over to greet him. Oh. Ji Kai and Meng looked at Ji Washang with a half smile. I heard you've made a lot of money by splitting void rings over the years. Ji Washang was shocked, but he didn't dare to hide it. Yes, but it's all about cultivating the next generation of the Ji family. Ji Kai and Meng nodded. Well, the idea is really good. So, when you say cultivating the next generation, do you include the next generation of Dazire? Or do you think the future Dazire will write the name of the Ji family? Are the spiritual stones you accumulated enough to pile up to saints? So what about the other saints of the Ji family? Have you been sanctified? Ji Qian Meng spoke slowly, without showing any signs of anger, but every word made Ji Washiang feel flustered. No. Ji Washiang held back this sentence for a long time. Oh. So you got nearly 1/5 of Daksha's cultivation resources by means of the splitting void ring, but you haven't been able to create a holy realm? Ji Qian Meng smiled, smiling happily. But Ji Washiang was in a bad mood. In recent years, there have been no talented juniors, so, is that what I said? Ji Qian Meng interrupted Ji Washiang suddenly. The battle situation on the front line is urgent. You are hiding behind the splitting void ring. As a principal, you are reluctant to spend money on recruiting academies? Won't you join the beast god cult? Ji Qian Meng's words were full of killing intent, and Ji Washiang panicked. Ji Qian Meng has always said one thing: as long as Ji Washiang admits to joining the beast god cult, he will now die at the hands of Ji Qian Meng. No, I don't. Ancestor, I admit that I didn't manage the Ji family well, and it was my selfishness, but I have absolutely nothing to do with the beast god cult. Ji Washiang suddenly knelt on the ground, cried on the ground. Oh. Do you dare to look into my eyes and say it again? Ji Qian Meng said. When Ji Washiang heard the words, he immediately raised his head and looked directly into Ji Qian Meng's eyes. My Ji Washiang, if there is any idea of anti-human race, I will hit 5 thunders. It's not good to die. Ji Qian Meng was relieved. From now on, the price of the space will be adjusted to 1/10 of the original price, and it will be provided to the frontline soldiers for free, and 2/3 of the training resources will be taken from the family library to support the front line. Understand? Ji Washiang's face turned pale when he heard Ji Qian Meng's words. 90% off. Free to frontline fighters. Still have to hand over 2/3 of the family property? What? Do you have an opinion? Seeing Ji Washiang's performance, Ji Qian Meng frowned slightly. This is forcing children. Love money and love crazy, right? Don't dare. Then, why don't you fucking do it soon? Let's go. Ji Washiang was about to cry. The money accumulated over the years is gone. Ji Ziodo's prodigal name will be given to Ji Qian Meng in the future. In less than 10 minutes, the money earned in half a lifetime is gone. Ji Washiang walked out of the room almost crying, like a child. Fortunately, no one was around, otherwise I would have thought something was wrong. Zhang Bingqing's response was also very fast. He had already ordered it that night, and the college entrance examination was advanced 3 days later. In an instant, the whole country of Daksha was boiling. What's the situation? 3 days. Are you sick? What's wrong? I'm so anxious. It was half a month ahead of schedule, and now it's 3 days later. It's too late to break through to the 3rd realm of awakening after 3 days. It's so annoying. You are already ready to break through the 3rd realm of awakening. What is it that I have just stepped into the 2nd realm of awakening? Countless people are madly complaining, but for these people, the college entrance examination is just a passing scene. The stage, after all, belongs to the genius, and this year's stage belongs to Ye Chen. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Zhang Fei who will transform. The other saints had no opinion on Zhang Bingqing's adjustment to the college entrance examination. Bei Junjian was busy guarding East Blue, Zhang Bingqing's body was in the north, and the demigods were in the inland. Relying on the breath is enough to make the beast dare not act rashly. The old magic stick is naturally hiding in the dark and trying to break through the demigods. His lifespan is coming to an end. If he doesn't break the mirror, the next prediction of the future will be the end of his life. But now that the space saint Ji Qian Meng is back, it can be said that their pressure will be easier in the future. Ji Qian Meng spends 1/3 of the spiritual power in his body to teleport thousands of miles, which is 1/10 of the diameter of Daksha. Thousands of miles equals 500 kilometers. Everyone understands the Daksha prototype. 5,500 kilometers north-south diameter. As long as there are enough spirit stones, Ji Qian Meng can pull the support speed to ultimate in a short period of time. On Ye Chen's side, it can be regarded as a good rest for 2 days. After all, this short trip to the secret realm has caused so many things. Of course, Chen Nanfeng, the deputy leader of the beast god cult, has already heard the wind point that group of foolish subordinates came up and demolished the villa. I'm fucking asking you to invite someone over here. You should fight and catch them at the most. Are you demolishing someone's villa? Exclamation mark. Do you think Yan Hongiying is blind? Or cerebral palsy? Can't hear that big noise. Anyway, the scorching sun. Not once did Chen Nanfeng feel that he needed a smarter subordinate. Wrong. It needs a subordinate who is not stupid. That's right. Urgently needed. But now Chen Nanfeng doesn't care anymore. Last night, he suddenly received news that the college entrance examination was ahead of schedule. Then all the problems are not problems. And then I'm ready to start my great plan. Your hair growth cream has arrived, brother. Okay, I thank you. Ye Chen stopped cultivating, sat up from the bed, and took out the hair growth cream sent by the system. Okay, we can't say that we should stop cultivating. After all, active cultivation has been turned into passive by the system. This time, I will never use Yana Hell again. It's impossible to say anything. Right, Jinjaka, so you're blaming me again. Did I force you to use it? Ye Chen held the system brand hair growth cream in his hand and stood in front of the mirror with a solemn face. Carefully take out a pair of disposable gloves for takeaway at noon. Slowly smear the entire scalp and then the eyebrows. After doing all this, Ye Chen nodded slightly while standing in front of the mirror. Sure. Enough. I'm more handsome with hair. Then I went out to get my hair cut. After all, hairstyle determines a person's appearance. Since returning from the secret realm, Ye Chen has no desires the current self. This body, as long as it is not instantly killed. It will soon be resurrected with full blood, like a walking bug. It's almost 3 days away. Of course, the 3 days skipped were not because a certain idiot writer couldn't think of the plot. The main thing is that, if the plot foreshadowing is buried, it will be said that the water dragon has no water for you, except for the hair growth cream on the first day. The next day's system check-in brought Ye Chen's slashing technique to perfection. Now he can be said to have the most advanced slashing technique among Shinigami, along with the basic usage of several other skills. But normally it is not easy to use. Ye Chen was a little shocked by the reward on the third day. It was a secret bead. Well, still red. Ye Chen, people are stupid. The secret realm, please. It's boring. Okay. Not many can beat it. We don't know who was almost slapped. We don't dare to say, to save some face for others. But the system said at the time that this secret realm is not the same as the secret realm you know. This secret realm level is relatively high. How high is it exactly? The saints will die if they enter. Hearing this sentence, Ye Chen put away his hard to die point. Although the current self can beat the saints violently, and the recovery ability of the physical body is also perfect, but the physical body cannot resist beatings. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Ye Chen brought Ji Xiaodo and Fang Qingshan to Kyoto University. Lan Lengshan was also waiting for someone with Li Shujin. When the 5 people met, they were shocked. Especially Li Shujin. Even before Lan Lengshan spoke, she pointed to the handsome Ye Chen and said suddenly, "Aren't you bald?" Before Ye Chen could react, he was stabbed in the back. So, the third teammate you're talking about is her? Ye Chen nonchalantly pointed at Li Shujin and said to Lan Lengshan, "You know each other?" Lan Lengshan asked curiously, blinking his eyes. "Do not know." "No." The words of the 2 people blurted out in unison. Li Shujin responded angrily, "Okay, let's get to know you." Ye Chen turned around and said to Ji Xiaodo and Fang Qingshan, "I promised Leng Shuang to form a team with her before, so now you may have to find another person to form a team. It's not a big problem, just pull whatever is pleasing to the eye." Ji Xiaodo said indifferently. For him, the talent of the space ring, or the top SSS level, which school did not choose by himself, Fang Qingshan doesn't matter anymore. One-handed Kinglian swept across. "As long as you can't break my defense, we must be a draw. It doesn't matter to me. If I really talk about talent, my talent is much better than G Prodigal." Suddenly, Fang Qingshan saw a big man who was shaking his head around. He was wearing cheap clothes. His shorts looked a little worn, and his white vest was a little yellow. He's got muscles all over his body. He's really a big man. Fang Qingshan ran forward and put his hand on his shoulder. Brother, are you looking for teammates? Huh? Yes, then. Let's go. We are missing one of the two. Fang Qingshan said with a raised eyebrow. The big man agreed without a second thought. So casual. Ye Chen was immediately shocked. Why not? Fang Qingshan waved his hand. G Prodigal, do you have any opinion? G. Xiaodo rolled his eyes. What opinion can I have? That's fine. What's your name, big man? My name is Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei? Will you be able to transform? Fang Qingshan exclaimed. G Xiaodo slapped Fang Qingshan's head with a slap. Did you play too many fucking games? Then he looked at Zhang Fei and said apologetically, I'm sorry, this guy's brain is not very practical. How long have you been reborn? Zhang Fei was completely stunned by Fang Qingshan's words. After finally regaining his senses, Ji Xiaodo gave Zhang Fei another blow in the head. Hahaha, don't make fun of you. My name is Ji Xiaodo. This guy's called Fang Qingshan. It's nice to meet you. I have a small gift. Then took out a space ring. Chapter 130. Not much, just 1,000,000 points. At that time, Zhang Fei's head was blank. What happened? Did things go a little faster? Early in the morning, I rushed to the school to prepare for the college entrance examination and found that everyone had already formed a team. I was so anxious that I was about to cry, but a messed up handsome guy approached me. I thought he wanted to do something. As a result, he actually invited me to form a team. I was so happy. I followed immediately and saw another teammate. Then the handsome guy named Fang Qingshan asked me if I would transform. I was shocked at the time. He actually knew that I would transform. The one named Ji Xiaodo was even more outrageous. He even asked me how long it had been since I was reborn. Before I could react, a space ring was stuffed into my hand. I'm not dreaming, am I? Fang Qingshan and Ji Xiaodo, as well as Ye Chen, Lan Lengxiang and Li Shujin behind them. The 5 people looked at the man named Zhang Fei with great interest. Zhang Fei suddenly slapped himself fiercely. It's not a dream, Zhang Fei said, feeling the burning sensation on his face. Ye Chen and the others didn't speak, while Zhang Fei frowned silently. Could it be that I didn't hit hard enough? As he spoke, he slapped again. Ye Chen was stunned and quickly stopped Zhang Fei. Brother, you are not dreaming. Zhang Fei suddenly pushed Ye Chen away, slapped his face. Hey, it hurts. I didn't dream. The crowd was stunned. This brother is a ruthless man. He even beats himself when he is ruthless. On the other hand, Ye Chen was shocked. He was pushed away just now. You must know that you are now in the mountain realm, and with various strength enhancements and passives, he was pushed away by a freshman. In the few remaining cities in Daksha, there are about 10 million college entrance examination freshmen every year. Remove the talent students with poor talent and those who can't fight. About 1 million freshmen take the college entrance examination. But this time, there were only more than 300 people who came to the scene. Originally Ye Chen thought he had made a mistake. As a result, I heard Lan Lengxiang say that it is because the requirements of the college entrance examination have become higher, and people with talents above S rank are required to participate in this college entrance examination. Hey, why don't you just get a first-hand SSS level to participate? How good? Ye Chen waved his hand helplessly. It's boring. It's boring. Ji Washan walked to the podium with heavy steps. Obviously, he has not recovered from the state where his net worth has shrunk. This year, the college entrance examination assessment has changed a bit. Ji Washan looked at the hundreds of people off the field and then fixed his eyes on Ye Chen. Your college entrance examination this year is someone named Ye Chen. To be honest, Ji Washan still doesn't know why the college entrance examination is so tricky. As soon as these words came out, the field exploded in an instant. Who is Ye Chen? How do you define grades in this trial? Yeah, what if that guy gets caught by us? Who is Ye Chen? Come out and die. Ye Chen's originally smiling cheeks suddenly stiffened. The 5 people behind Ye Chen took a few steps back silently. Well, I have a question. Ye Chen suddenly raised his hand and said, well, you said, there any restrictions? Ye Chen shouted loudly. No. Limit. Ji Washang said with a smile. Ah. You serious? Ye Chen was shocked. Seriously? Ji Washang said with a smile, but he was only halfway through. A slap slapped his face, and Ji Washang flew upside down more than 10 meters. Seriously, your mother? Ji Meng said angrily. Hundreds of people in the audience looked at the scene that suddenly appeared in front of them, and the whole person was not well. Cough. Cough. Ji Meng coughed twice and adjusted her image. Boy, you can't use the wooden dragon and the wooden golem. You can use the others at will, but don't kill anyone. Ji Meng said with a smile. Oh, I thought there was really no limit. I was thinking of calling a wooden dragon out to play with them. Ye Chen said nonchalantly. But the group of students was a little unhappy. Brothers, is he looking down on us? 1. Hit 300? Who does he think he is? We can drown him with one mouthful of saliva, right? Are you sure that this year's college entrance examination is not teasing us? Ye Chen always felt that this sentence seemed to have been heard before. It seems to be someone's army of 100,000. Ever said saliva can drown me? Ye Chen shook his head, too lazy to pay attention to the group of students. I found a shady place and made a symbolic seal. Then a familiar rocking chair appeared under the tree. Ye Chen lay down directly. Sage. Artwood style wood clone. Ye Chen muttered silently. This one-handed operation directly stunned the audience, and even Ji Meng didn't know what to say when he saw this scene. I saw that from Ye Chen's body. One clone after another split. And Ye Chen was carefully counting the number of people on the field. After a moment. Then. What, brothers? Your mission is to knock down these 300 people. Pay attention. It's just knocked down, not killed. The scene at that time was strange. Ji Meng watched this scene, and the whole person was not well. This college entrance examination is like a joke. It is better not to take it. 300 clones, according to 6 clones fighting a saint. Ji Meng swallowed and said, Senior, come and sit. Ye Chen waved at Ji Meng under the tree. Next to Ye Chen, another chair appeared. Ji Meng didn't say anything, just twisted the space, came to the chair, and lay down. I don't know what kind of monster you are. 300 clones? There really is it's only 300, and another 300 will be fine. Ye Chen said with a smile. The spiritual energy in the clone is determined by me. If I divide it too much, I can't stand it. These 300 clones are not enough for the 6 clones before. Ye Chen immediately saw through Ji Meng's thoughts and said directly. Ji Meng rolled his eyes. How many trump cards do you have? Not much, not much, just a few 100 million. P.S. First of all, I apologize to everyone. Today, I have changed the 3 chapters, but I still feel that something is not right. I always feel that there is something wrong. Help me point it out. Today, I was really mad by Kalvinka. That is, I don't know where to start the next plot, so I have been uncomfortable. By the way, help my friend push the book. National Beast. I have a Beast Simulator chapter 131. 100 slaps to understand. Jiziodo, Fankingshan and other people off the field. We are discussing with the 5 clones. Brother. You see, we are all so familiar with each other. How about you feel wronged and let me down? It is only Jiziodo who can say such cheap words. I saw one of Ye Chen's clones shrugged. That's not good. I and my main body have not been defeated in this life. Ye Chen caught this sentence directly and shouted angrily. Well said, brother. I'll take you to eat something delicious later. Okay. Body. Jiziodo was stunned. This brother Ye can't get in the oil and salt. How to fix it? Hey, don't worry, we are all friends anyway, so let's take it easy. I'll save you some face. One of the clones, Ye Chen, finished speaking and punched him out. Directly KO a student who had just played hot. You're stealing people's heads. Ye Chen said angrily. I didn't mean to. Ye Chen cloned and said apologetically. Okay, I apologize to myself. This scene seems a bit funny. I really can't do anything about you. Who makes you me too? Forget it. After saying this, the clone ran to the side to grab the heads of other people. Ji Meng looked at this scene and asked Ye Chen beside him, speaking. of which, with your 300% body, you won't beat them to death. If you're not serious or heavy, right? Just kidding. Am I that kind of person? Don't worry. Ye Chen waved his hand, watching the scene of 300 students fighting against 300 students on the field. Haha. Ji Kai and Meng sneered, but didn't say much. Point at this moment, a certain clone, Ye Chen, was suddenly slapped by someone. What the hell? You don't even know how to beat people. You don't even know such basic knowledge. The clone Ye Chen was instantly angry. Why did I just hit you in the face? You. See, if I cut you today, it will be finished. Ye Chen's avatar widened his eyes and said that he was about to step forward to clean up the boy. Snapped. The crisp voice sounded, and the clone Ye Chen received another slap on the face. My talent is 100% hit. As long as I hit the attack, I can hit the opponent perfectly. The throw is counted. The man said proudly. Point, this guy's pattern is a bit small, and he can only slap with such an awesome talent. Sage art. This clone Ye Chen had a gloomy face, looking at the little brother who didn't know what to face next with murderous intent. Point, hearing the word sage art, the other two clones quickly stopped him. Don't be impulsive. We can't kill them. Yes, yes. Hold on. Crack. X2 at this moment, a slap print appeared on their faces together. Sage art. Wood style. Wood dragon technique. X3 a roar sounded in unison. Fuck. The man was instantly stunned. 3 big trees burst out at the feet of the 3 clones in an instant. Point, the 100-meter wooden dragon appeared, and the 3 wooden dragons instantly dumbfounded the entire battlefield. Point, 600 pairs of eyes stared at the 3 of them. Fuck, you Ozzy, that's what you said, you won't cause people to die. Ji Kai and Meng panicked. Ye Chen is also stunned. What are these 3 avatars doing? The 3 wooden dragons stared at the kid who was dying. Catch him. One of them, Ye Chen, controlled the wooden dragon to grab the man on the wooden dragon's claws. Then, the 3 clones stepped forward together without saying a word. One of the clones, Ye Chen, slapped him up. Snapped. The big brother panicked instantly. What? I was wrong. Don't do this. In our civilized society, hitting people doesn't slap in the face. Snapped. Slap me. Give you a face? Did I just say that hitting someone is not a face? Snapped. Laozi kindly persuaded him to think twice and give Laozi a big kabuto when you come up. Snapped. Give you a face. If it weren't for the main body not to kill you, you don't know how many times you've died. Crack. XN+1 a series of slaps came from high in the sky. Point, Ji Kai and Meng's eyes straightened. Boy, isn't it too much? Excessive. Don't make trouble, okay? Although the avatars are just avatars, they are also called Ye Chen. If it wasn't for your face, he would have been walking on Huangquan Road. Ye Chen rolled his eyes, said gloomily. Point, if it is said that the other party accidentally punched or slapped himself, then there is nothing to say. Point, but this guy was obviously doing it on purpose, greeting every move in the face. Point, the last one who slapped himself counted the time. It should have been a week, or the state of a fertilized egg. Okay, just don't kill him. Ji Kai and Meng didn't say more after hearing Ye Chen's words. If it was me, and I was slapped with 4 big mouths, no matter how good tempered I was, I would be angry, right? Well, let's slap 10,000 mouths first. Ye Chen said indifferently. Point, Ji Kai and Meng panicked. Are you sure you won't kill him? Won't. Ye Chen said with certainty, and then shouted at the 3 clones who were fanning their mouths. Don't beat him to death. Seeing that he is dying, give him some treatment. Oh, no problem. Small things. This guy will definitely get 10,000 slaps today. In this short minute, this class of students will spend their entire lives to heal. Point, 3 clones. 300-meter dragons, then 300 clones are 300 100-meter dragons. So the question is, how many people can Ye Chen use alone? Thinking of this question, some of the girls present suddenly blushed. Point, we don't know about the sudden blush. We can't say it, and we can't easily evaluate it. Right, this kind of thing can only be understood and unspoken. Remember. 10 minutes later, The students present were all lying on the ground. And none of the clones disappeared. As for Xiaodo and the others, they simply sat down neatly on the ground and surrendered. Only Zhang Fei refused to admit defeat and was glared at by Ye Chen, who is still in a state of autism. We're not talking about killing him with a knife, just punching him, and that Tsukuyomi space loops Xiaodo and Fang Qingshan looked at Zhang Fei, who was hugging them. A brave man. Ye Chen saw that the students present were all lying down and silently retracted the clones, but left 3 clones and continued the previous 10,000 slaps. Senior. Gee, what about now? Is the trial over? Ye Chen asked Ji Qian Meng curiously. Isn't this trial just going through the motions? Ji Qian Meng replied in surprise. It's such a joke. So, what should I do? Claim to the public that Ye Chen, a freshman in the college entrance examination, won a great victory against 300 enemies. It's not easy. You advance directly, and then they continue to the next exam. I believe that no one will disapprove of you now. Chapter 132 Chen Nanfeng and -039, S unknown talent, destroys the world. Ye Chen's face is speechless. Is this also an exam? Better not to test. Okay, then go directly to Sky Academy. Ye Chen said depressedly. I saw Ji Qian Meng take out a badge from her arms with a smirk, a graduation certificate, and a teacher's qualification certificate. Okay, you have graduated from Kangkyang Academy, and now you are the teacher of Kangkyang Academy. Ye Chen. At that time, my head hurt so much. After thinking about it for a long time, I didn't understand why life can pass so fast. I obviously haven't done anything yet. I obviously just finished the college entrance examination, and I graduated from college in a blink of an eye, and then also became a teacher. Ye Chen fell into a brief meditation. Did I get the wrong script? It shouldn't be like this. Ji Qian Meng looked at Ye Chen, who didn't speak, smiled and turned to leave. He also left this sentence. Actually, your bald head is quite handsome, and Ice Phoenix will take you to the northern frontier tomorrow, so be prepared. Damn it. Although I really want to go to the front line early, but you are going too far. Ye Chen shouted angrily. Do you blame me? Ji Qian Meng left without looking back, and even used the power of space. In fact, the Ice Phoenix Saint cannot be blamed for this either. At present, there are tens of millions of candidates in the summer, and there are still millions of people who have removed the clerical jobs, and some incapable talents then, from among millions of people, pass the test of physical strength, speed, and strength. Then through the ability to use and develop talent. And then look at the realm. It will take 2 or 3 days for millions of candidates to check these, and then they will be assessed in teams, and then they will have to arrange a secret realm assessment after the assessment. It's been a month and a half for the exam. It's better to be simple and direct, and simply open a back door for Ye Chen. Of course, this back door is a bit outrageous. You took half an hour for the half-month exam. Ye Chen told Ji Xiaodo, Fang Qingshan and others about this afterwards. There was a lot of rumors saying that Ye Chen was going to give Ye Chen a farewell drink. Those who didn't know it thought it was going to be a feast. Today's reward: hair growth cream x10. I guess if you are going to the front line, this may be suitable for you. So touching. Ye Chen rolled his eyes, followed Ji Xiaodo and the others to have a symbolic meal. And Zhang Zilei didn't go. He was sitting at the same table with his sister to eat. Zhang Bingking had dinner with Zhang Zilei for the first time over the years. The atmosphere seemed a little heavy. If you can sit down and have a meal with dad like this, I think he will be very happy too. Zhang Zilei pushed his glasses and said with a smile, Zhang Bingking wiped his mouth and responded softly, Ye Chen, just like a child, doing things a little bit simple, but in fact he is very reliable. Zhang Zilei suddenly changed the subject. The front line is very dangerous, although I know he is strong, but you pay attention to protection. Hit him. Zhang Bingking was stunned. His big brother actually said such a thing. In his own impression, Zhang Zilei has always been taciturn and would not speak for anyone. You've changed a lot. Yeah. Ye Chen always makes people feel very at ease. The feeling of laughing out loud without knowing it Zhang Zilei touched his own eggs subconsciously. Zhang Bingking stopped talking. At night, Ye Chen stood on the balcony, watching the meteors streaking across the sky. Confused about life. How long have you been in this world? In a short period of time, I felt like I was in a dream, and it always felt unreal. Those so-called saints are powerless under their own hands, not to mention the so-called alien beasts. Ye Chen smiled bitterly. Am I here to save the world? What an old-fashioned script. A light flickered in the sky. At this time, in a building. Chen Nanfeng was looking at his watch, calculating the approximate time. It's almost time. Chen Nanfeng frowned slightly. Unfortunately, there are a little less students this year, otherwise we can do it all. Sect Master, my subordinates think that some insignificant junk is not enough. This year's S rank and above geniuses are already in Kyoto. A man in a black and red robe behind Chen Nanfeng said. As for Chen Nanfeng, he was wearing a golden robe, looking particularly coquettish. After all, Chen Nanfeng is also the deputy leader of the beast god cult. What's wrong with wearing a golden robe? Chen Nanfeng has been waiting for a long time today, destroying the capital city in one fell swoop. What? A beautiful city? It's a pity. It's going to be ruined. Chen Nanfeng said with a smile, turning around and leaving with his subordinates at the same time. Zhang Bingking received a call from the old magic stick. Leave Kyoto City. Evacuate the people. Changes are coming. After the magic stick saint on the other end of the phone said these words, a mouthful of blood gushed out of his throat. Senior, what's wrong with you? Zhang Bingking was shocked. I'm fine. Evacuate the crowd. Within an hour, evacuate 500 kilometers from Kyoto City. After saying this, the holy stick sage instantly fainted. Zhang Bingking hung up the phone and quickly began to notify the city guards and the army in Kyoto. At the same time, he flew to the sky over Kyoto, using his spiritual power to spread his voice out. I am the Ice Phoenix Saint. I received an emergency order to evacuate the entire city to the suburbs 500 kilometers away from Kyoto within an hour. I am the Ice Phoenix Saint. I received an emergency order to evacuate the entire city to the suburbs 500 kilometers away from Kyoto within an hour. Chen Nanfeng, who was on his way out of the city, frowned. Why is this Ice Phoenix guy in Kyoto? Isn't she on the front line? Chen Nanfeng's face changed again and again, and he had been accumulating energy for several years. Only by using his talent, he wanted to cause this natural disaster. Could it be that it was destroyed by this bitch like this? What should I do? Yang Wan on the side also said anxiously. As the protector of the beast god cult, he is the first person under the vice sect leader. If this matter is successful, he will also be able to get the reward of the leader. So he is naturally very anxious. Chen Nanfeng's eyes narrowed slightly. No hurry. Even that old lady from Ice Phoenix can't save this city, even if she saves everyone. Yang Wan hesitated when he heard the words, because the leader has always wanted to kill more human races, hidden for so many years, and ended up destroying a city without any casualties. As the capital of Daksha, Kyoto is crushing other cities. No matter what aspect it is in a city like Zhanghai City, there are not many star elms, or even a few in the sea. In a city like Kyoto, there are countless geniuses from major families and schools. There is no comparison. Chapter 133 The Heart of the Virgin Mary. Ye Chen stood on the balcony, his eyes fixed on the twinkling star in the sky. I always feel something is wrong. I can't tell where it is. This star seems to be getting closer and closer. It wasn't until Zhang Bingking said the words in the sky that he came back to his senses. Something happened. You have to leave with me first. After Zhang Bingking finished shouting, he came to Ye Chen in an instant. Ye Chen was slightly taken aback. Okay, what happened? Zhang Jiraiya walked out of the room, looking at Zhang Bingking and asking Ye Chen, there's no time to explain. We have to leave first. Zhang Bingking spread his wings behind him and directly pulled Zhang Zilei and Ye Chen to fly out of the city. Ji Qianmeng also used her own ability to transfer some weaker and unhappy people at the first time. At the same time, he also shouted that the younger generation in the family, who can move people in space for a short period of time, help save people 500 kilometers range, which is about 500,000 meters taking Ji Kai and Meng's current spiritual power as an example, transferring hundreds of people at a time, can save thousands of people back and forth. Point. But in a city, the number of people starts with tens of millions. In just 1 hour, tens of millions of residents must be evacuated. Above the sky, Zhang Bingqing's speed reached ultimate, which was only 500 meters per second. What happened? Ye Chen asked curiously. The holy stick has come to warn. Tonight, the city of Kyoto will be destroyed. What? Zhang Zilei and Ye Chen exclaimed. How is it possible? Why was it destroyed? I don't know. The holy stick only knows about the disaster, but he can't know the cause. Zhang Bingqing was also very helpless. If he could know the cause, it would be much easier. Destroy the capital city. Ye Chen's face turned pale. Zhang Jiraiya said with a heavy face. Can the capital city be destroyed? What kind of attack would that be? I don't know. Zhang Bingqing shook his head and said. She also doesn't know what kind of situation will be in order to destroy the capital city. Ye Chen's face was very ugly and he turned to look at the star above the sky. What if it's a meteorite? Zhang Bingqing looked at Ye Chen who was pulling his arm. Ye Chen pointed to the shining star in the sky. Zhang Bingqing was stunned and muttered to himself. If it's a meteorite, then destroying a Kyoto would be an easy task. After sending Ye Chen to a relatively safe place, Zhang Bingqing went to the city again to save people. Can save one more is 500 kilometers. It takes several hours to drive. For the strong, 1 hour is enough to run 500 kilometers. But how can there be so many so-called strong? Thousands of people crowded each other on the streets. The whole city is a mess. Everyone knows that the saint can say such words that everyone should evacuate quickly. That is definitely something that even the saints don't know how to solve. Stay in the city. There is a dead end. Many more people in this atmosphere choose to stay at home. Everything came so fast. 1 hour, 500 kilometers. That is a distance of 500,000 meters. At Zhang Bingqing's speed of 500 meters per second, it would take 1000 seconds to fly the 500,000 meters, or 16 minutes. It took so much time just to send Ye Chen and Zhang Zilei. How can ordinary people do it? Ye Chen stood on the top of the mountain, his eyes fixed on the meteorite that was getting bigger and bigger. Thousands of people in the city. Ye Chen didn't understand this number. Even if a drop of water was 10 million times the size, a lake could appear. What's more, people, there are only thousands of ants in a dense nest, but now there are tens of millions. Ye Chen was silent. Ye Chen, can you stop this meteorite? Zhang Zilei said. When he was standing behind Ye Chen. He saw through Ye Chen's heart. At this moment, Ye Chen is in a very tangled state of mind, with his own safety on the one hand, and millions of people in the city on the other. Zhang Jiraiya knew that if Ye Chen was confident that he could block the meteor, he would never be silent. In other words, even Ye Chen doesn't have that strength. I have no idea. Ye Chen was discouraged. Come to this world. The first time I felt powerless was Deng Shizhang's tsunami. The second time is now. Natural disasters are always the most terrifying. Even if the strength is as strong as a saint, it is difficult to resist. Then, don't think about it. Zhang Zilei put his hand on Ye Chen's shoulder. Ye Chen was stunned. He thought Zhang Zilei would let him save those people. Didn't expect it to be such a word. I believe that if you have that ability, you will definitely protect them, but you don't have that ability now, so you don't have to blame yourself. Zhang Zilei seemed a little calm, and Ye Chen's mood also calmed down a lot. If you have the strength, then if you don't do it, I will look down on you. But if you don't have the strength, if you do it, I think you are a fool instead. Zhang Zilei said with a smile. Ye Chen directly broke the defense. In such a serious situation, the people who were directly attacked by you would be stupid. Brother, Zilei has no strength, but my father always said that no matter what you do, you must put your own safety first. In the face of life and death, no one will say that you are selfish. Zhang Zilei patted Ye Chen on the shoulder and stopped talking. The next choice is only for Ye Chen to think about. Ye Chen didn't speak, nodded and stared blankly at the approaching meteorite in the sky. It's over. It's over. Wife, Xiaodao, where are you? Dad, you are in your hometown. Remember to eat and drink well. My son won't be going back this year. I Haven't spent my money yet. Most of my life has passed. I thought I could give my family a better life. I can train children to be the pillars of the future of the human race. Zaya Hong. If I'm going to die, you can find someone to marry. Remember to find someone who is good to you. If I'm still alive, then we'll get married. Ye Chen was in a trance. Above the silent mountain point he seemed to hear the cry of thousands of people in the city. Some people smile bitterly, resenting the injustice of the world. Some people say goodbye to those they miss in tears. Some people are busy explaining their own affairs. Ye Chen tangled as he watched the meteorite in the sky approach little by little. Ye Chen couldn't sit still. The wind was blowing under his feet. He jumped up, and the wooden dragon rushed out from the ground until the end. Ye Chen couldn't avoid his virgin's heart. Zhang Zilei smiled and looked at the figure of Ye Chen leaving point. Although he was happy that Ye Chen had chosen Dao Yi, he was also worried about Ye Chen's safety. When Zhang Bingqing returned to Zhang Zilei again, his face was full of exhaustion. Zhang Bingqing looked around and couldn't find Ye Chen. Subconsciously asked, "Where's Ye Chen?" Zhang Zilei cast his eyes to the sky and said with a smile, "He's softened." Chapter 134. When that giant Buddha appeared in the world, people discovered that Zhang Bingqing suddenly panicked, and with his wings spread behind him, he was about to fly towards the capital city. Zhang Zilei grabbed Zhang Bingqing's arm. "I told him it was his own choice. You can go and help him, but you can't stop him." This sentence hit Zhang Bingqing's heart, and Zhang Bingqing was stunned. Yes, this is his own choice. So what if he stops it? Can't stop. Can he wait to stop the attack? According to estimates, this meteorite, with a diameter of nearly 600 meters. What kind of concept is this? A meteorite with a diameter of 60 meters falls on the ground, and it has an attack at the level of a nuclear bomb. It can instantly form a huge pit with a depth of 20 meters and 1,200 meters, and it's just potholes. The heat and energy he created will instantly sweep the entire city. Ye Chen stood on top of the wooden dragon and looked up at the small meteorite. Well, with a diameter of only 600 meters, the energy generated at the moment of landing can destroy 4 or 5 Kyoto cities. Ye Chen smiled bitterly and sighed deeply. "Oh, I didn't expect to have a fight with Meteor today." At this moment, Chen Nanfeng is in an absolutely safe position. His talent, named Yingxing. This meteorite is a masterpiece that he has been accumulating for 3 years, as the name implies. Create natural disasters. As long as Chen Nanfeng is willing, he can start accumulating energy from now on until he dies before the star falls. Let the whole world be buried with you. Time was short, but Ye Chen was mentally prepared. Maybe the only thing I can do is to smash this meteorite. Thinking of this, the power of emptiness in Ye Chen's heart poured out. Standing on the wooden dragon, hands together, the hollow mask slowly emerged, and the fairy pattern of Sage Mode was covered. "This is the first time I've used wood style after unblocking. I hope you won't let me down." Ye Chen murmured. His eyes became firm. Up to now, the meteorite is already on the top of the head, and if you want to escape, you can't escape, so you can only bite the bullet. Sage Artwood style through several thousand hands. Ye Chen put his hands together, and aurora sounded through the sky, spreading throughout the capital city. Countless figures in the city stop fighting in their hands, crying on the phone, hugging with their families, and looking in Ye Chen's direction. A giant dragon stands out. Camus in the firelight of the meteorite. The figure above the dragon's head was looming, but everyone knew that the voice was from that figure. What does he want to do against meteorites? This is a voice in the minds of the whole city, and countless people are looking at the figure. There was a glimmer of hope in my heart. The roar sounded. The ground trembled instantly, like an earthquake. Countless giant trees sprang up in the land, and giant trees dozens of meters thick rose from the sky and crossed each other. Buddha's head appeared. The Buddha body begins to condense. Tens of millions of eyes stared directly at the 1,000-meter high Buddha head. Someone even broadcasted the scene live to Quan Daksha with a mobile phone. Ye Chen controlled the wooden dragon to swim above the Buddha's head point. The Buddha's body appeared, and the wooden dragon also reached the top of the Buddha's head point. Except for the exclamations in the entire Kyoto city, there was no other sound point. Countless people opened their mouths and looked at the giant Buddha in the sky point. Thousands of arms move around behind the Buddha point. A wooden golem turned into a crown, sitting cross-legged on the head of the giant Buddha. Ye Chen jumped down from above the wooden dragon point, standing firmly above wooden golem's head point. The 30,000 meter giant Buddha debut. The whole world was shocked. Is this wood system fake? Right. If it's not the wood type, why do so many emerge from the soil? If it's the wood type, why can it be so strong? True. Several thousand hands. A great name, as the name suggests. So, the thousands of people of the same clan in Kyoto City have a chance to survive. I admit that this giant Buddha is very shocking and huge, but it is a meteorite. It is 600 meters in diameter. It is said that a meteorite with a diameter of 6,000 meters can destroy the world. Although this meteorite is only 600 meters. But, upstairs, we all understand, but we just want a little comfort. Ye Chen stood above True several thousand hands. This move just now consumed 89% of the spiritual energy in the body. Ye Chen unhurriedly poured all the spirit stones in the ring to his feet, and the fortune-telling hanging breathing method began to absorb frantically. For the first time feeling the shock of the 30,000 meter Buddha, Ye Chen didn't have time to get excited. Because in front of him is an existence that endangers millions of people. Ye Chen took a few deep breaths. At an altitude of 30,000 meters, the air pressure was different from the ground, and it was extremely difficult to breathe. Ye Chen had to get that meteorite before he choked to death. Sage art. True several thousand hands. Become a Buddha on the top. The familiar or sounded point. Countless people focused their attention on the giant Buddha point. Everyone in the Yan family is good. So are everyone in the Ji family. Baby Shan also fled with his sword helpless, and even Zhang Bingking stopped flying and stayed in the air witnessing the figure that looks like a god descending to earth. The countless arms behind the giant Buddha began to shake violently, and every shaking was accompanied by a huge earthquake. Countless arms adjusted their directions and aimed at the meteorite that fell towards Kyoto City. First arm, second arm, third, I can't count how many. People only remember that the arms of the sky were facing up, shooting towards the meteorite that was falling rapidly and mixed with flames. But meteorites are meteorites after all. The inner mass is unknown. Perhaps higher than the densest metal known to Bluester today. The meteorite with a size of 600 meters looks a little weak in front of the kilometer-sized palm of the Buddha point. But when the palm of the Buddha touched the outer flame of the meteorite, the huge flame instantly burned the wood style directly. This scene made countless hopeful human races once again discouraged. Enough. You've worked hard. Run away. There was a little girl in the city, holding a book and crying. When she was only 10 years old, she just understood what death meant. I'd love to say please help me, but I'd rather say, you go. Countless people in Kyoto City burst into tears in an instant, and he has worked hard. You go. A second cry is heard. 3 road. Fourth, there was only one sentence left in the whole city. You go. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment and looked towards the capital city below. In the eyes of Sharingan, the performance of everyone can be seen clearly. Ye Chen, who was unsatisfactory, had a slight red in his eyes. What? Are you kidding? Today, I live and die with you. Ye Chen growled. A roar echoed through the city. Susanoo. Ye Chen's eyes are bloodshot. This is the first time he has used Susanoo's complete body. Blue veins burst out around his eyes, and blood spilled from the corners of his eyes. A 1000 meter Susanoo wraps the wooden golem under Ye Chen. Chapter 135. Gloves for True several zero hands. What's the blue one? Everyone looked up at the top of the Buddha's head, and a blue light came into view. Does he have any other way? This performance rekindled a glimmer of hope in people's hearts. To be successful, Ye Chen felt the pain in his eyes and looked directly at the meteorite with difficulty. Can it only be this big? Ye Chen was a little disappointed, but after all, it was the first time he used Sharingan. The first time it was used, there was kilometer Susa. Sass had to call him a good guy when he saw it. When Will the goal of the great Buddha of Susanoo be realized? Ye Chen controlled a huge arm and came to him. Susanoo attached his arm instantly. Big Buddha can't fit. Then I'll do the fucking bergamot, right? After rapping, Susanoo's huge wood-style arm flew towards the meteorite. The eyes of the world were watching this blow, and they knew it. In front of this figure, who doesn't know his name, he is a talent of the wood element. Fire itself kills wood, and under the high temperature mixed with meteorites, there is no chance of touching meteorites at all. Instantly turned into dust, let alone crushed. The giant wood-style hand in the Susanoo suit. At absolute speed. I touched the flames of the outer layer of the meteorite. Bump. A loud bang sounded, and the meteorite penetrated the combination of Susa and wood-style like a bullet. But that meteorite also split into several tiny pieces that disappeared as the atmosphere rubbed off. Have the opportunity. He hit the whole world is shocked. How high is the temperature of the meteorite? Under normal circumstances, the friction with the atmosphere can even reach 10,000 degrees Celsius. Wood-style is strong, but ultimately not fireproof. But Ye Chen wasn't worried. Although wood-style's arm and Susanoo were instantly destroyed, as long as he could touch the meteorite, it was enough. Again, the Sharingan in Ye Chen's eyes spun again, and the blue Susanoo appeared again, this time with a larger body size than before. But Ye Chen didn't notice it. Same action as before, with the Susanoo outfit on the wood-style arm. Bump. The sound of space shaking came again. This time, the meteorite still only dropped a few pieces of debris. Come again. The on-hook breathing method of good fortune has reached the ultimate, and Susanoo is frantically extracting the spiritual energy from Ye Chen's body. The third time. Bump. The meteorite seemed to be able to become stronger, and instantly penetrated Susanoo and wood-style. The city of Kyoto was extremely silent, and countless people stared at the figure. The kilometer-high blue phantom, summoned again and again, was penetrated by meteorites again and again. How many times was it repeated? Ye Chen refused to accept it. Blood was flowing in his eyes. The white void mask was dyed red with the blood of his eyes. Come again. Ye Chen roared again. I don't know how many times this is. Beidi Shan stood on top of his emperor's sword and looked at Ye Chen above the great Buddha. It was very uncomfortable in his heart. Of course he knew that Ye Chen was the only person who could use the wood element in this situation. And that weird trick. Beidi Shan is very unwilling. For the first time in his life, I feel like a piece of trash. A sense of frustration rose from within. Yanling and Li Shujin looked at Ye Chen without saying a word. That voice, they were all too familiar. Yanling suddenly smiled bitterly. Heh, my stupid brother. I really admire him for provoking such an existence. Li Shujin stayed silent and stayed by Yanling's side. Ye Chen summoned Susanoo again and again, put on his prestige outfit again and again, and attacked again and again. He didn't realize that the Susanoo he summoned was slowly getting bigger, because Susanoo was getting stronger, but now the Susanoo is slowly getting smaller. Because the spiritual power absorbed by the body's fortune-telling breathing method is not enough for Susanoo to use. Every time Susanoo appeared, the spiritual power that Ye Chen had in his body was drained. Ye Chen gasped heavily, although his body didn't move. But Ye Chen, who was under the pressure of the powerful air pressure, could hardly breathe. Susa, enough. A clear drink sounded. Zhang Bingking stood behind Ye Chen, stared at Ye Chen and said, "You've done your best, we should go." Zhang Bingking couldn't bear to see Ye Chen sweating profusely. "It's just in time. I want you to do me a favor," Ye Chen said breathlessly. A wood-style arm stretched out to Zhang Bingking's side. "Freeze him with ice," Ye Chen said with great difficulty. Every word seemed to be about to die. Zhang Bingking opened his mouth, trying to persuade Ye Chen to give up. But couldn't say anything. The wings spread out behind him, covering the huge wood-style palm with a thick layer of ice. Susanoo. Ye Chen then summoned Susanoo and put another layer of prestige on the wood-style and the ice layer. Zhang Bingking stood silently behind Ye Chen, watching all this during the tens of seconds of pause. People thought he gave up. The breath of despair came to my heart, but I suddenly found that a thick layer of white ice appeared on the huge arm. Then a huge blue light covered it. The huge arm flew towards the meteorite again. Ye Chen looked at the meteorite with expectant eyes. Susanoo blocked the heat from the outer layers. When the giant arm collided with the meteorite, miracle didn't happen. An extra layer of ice. The flight of the meteorite cannot be stopped. Not even the track can be changed. Ye Chen looked at the instantly exploding arm in the sky and sighed deeply. That giant meteorite is still intact. It seemed that those scraps that had been knocked out earlier were just some useless material. But now the meteorite is a complete piece of high density unknown metal. We should go, Zhang Bingking said to Ye Chen, looking at the meteorite that had at most 5 minutes to fall. I still have a way, Ye Chen said helplessly. Zhang Bingking was instantly angry and roared at Ye Chen like a heart attack. You still have a way. You still have a fart way. Do you know what this meteorite means? It is comparable to the full blow of a demigod. I know, Ye Chen responded indifferently. Zhang Bingking was completely stunned by Ye Chen's words and realized his gaffe just now. After calming down, Zhang Bingking said to Ye Chen, the Terran needs you. You can't die here. I really have a way. Obviously, Zhang Bingking didn't believe it. Ye Chen has stored a huge amount of spiritual power, and he is absorbing it frantically. After the Buddha is lifted, a lot of spiritual power can be recovered, but in that case, the meteorite cannot be approached, but it is not a big problem for Ye Chen. Ye Chen briefly thought about the method, and suddenly thought of something. He turned around and said to Zhang Bingking, I advise you to stay away from me. What I'm going to use next, ice and water element, will instantly lose their ability to fight. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, The Power to Destroy the World. Zhang Bingking was taken aback by Ye Chen's words. Ye Chen looked at Zhang Bingking and said very seriously, if you can, I hope you can create an ice wall to protect the city of Kyoto. Otherwise I'm afraid that before the meteorite is wiped out, all the people in the city of Kyoto will be killed by me. Zhang Bingking is completely suspicious of life. Does he know what he's talking about? Did I hear it wrong? Or is he wrong? Thinking of this, Zhang Bingking nodded unexpectedly. That being the case, Ye Chen stopped talking nonsense. Extending his arm and holding it forward, a long knife appeared in Ye Chen's hand. Hey, I didn't expect to play as a pig and eat a tiger for so long, and one day, I played all the cards without keeping one. Zhang Bingking was stunned. What is Ye Chen going to do with a knife? Chopping meteorites? He glanced at Ye Chen strangely, as if he really had some trump card. Why don't you go soon? Ye Chen rolled his eyes. The symbolic fold of the hands unlocks the spell of true several thousand hands. 30,000 meters. True several thousand hands instantly retracted into the ground at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ye Chen also recovered a lot of spiritual power. The 30,000 meter giant Buddha on the horizon disappeared. People don't want anything anymore. He tried his best, didn't he? Yeah. I hope he survives. The Terran needs him. It's so tangled. I don't want to die. I want to be rescued, but I want them to live. The whole world is waiting for these last 3 minutes. Chen Nanfeng smiled. And also want to fight against natural disasters. He originally thought that his 3-year plan would fail because of this sudden appearance. Unexpectedly, even these 30,000 meters of things are useless to their meteorites. If Ye Chen hears this, I won't let you die. Wait for the Godwood style to be ready, and wait for Susa to complete the ultimate body. A slap in the face of the 18 hells of hell. King Yama has to turn over the book of life and death to confirm which dead person you are. At this moment, Ye Chen and Zhang Bingking were divided into 2 groups. Ye Chen put Raijin Jaka in front of him and slowly pulled out his right hand. There are all kinds of things, all are ashes. Raijin Jaka, he doesn't have time to pretend. The Shikai language is spoken in an instant. Full power start. A huge flame gushed out behind Ye Chen, and the flame shot straight into the sky. The huge flame formed a huge sea of fire, burning everything around Ye Chen without a trace. Under the giant Buddha that had disappeared, a flame gushed out. Thousands of meters high flames. Let the world once again kindle hope. He hasn't given up yet. My Is he a fool? Pay attention to what you say upstairs. Even if he is a fool, he is also a hero. Flame. Can it fight against meteorites? No way. I remember that the maximum temperature of the meteorite can reach 10,000 degrees, and even if the metal inside the meteorite is highly efficient in storing thermal energy, it can even reach 20,000 degrees, then isn't he courting death? This sentence silenced the whole world, and everyone recognized this sentence point. Since temperature is useless to meteorites, it is courting death. Maybe he's just not reconciled. A barrage caused a stir. Yes, Ye Chen was not reconciled. My great Buddha is an existence that can slaughter saints. What a fucking meteorite. Mere meteorite. Thinking of this, Ye Chen's anger grew infinitely. I don't want to lose face. Exclamation mark. Raijin Jaka seemed to feel Ye Chen's anger, and the flames burned more and more violently. Right now, an ice wall enveloped the entire Kyoto city. The field of ice. The city of Kyoto has 16,000 square kilometers, which is equivalent to a square with 4 sides of 400 kilometers, and Zhang Bingking, a domain, created a huge ice shield covering the entire city of Kyoto. Of course, this is already her limit. When everyone saw the sudden appearance of ice, the entire Kyoto was tightly wrapped. You know, this is the handwriting of the Ice Phoenix Saint. Only she can do it in the human race. Seeing that Zhang Bingking was ready, Ye Chen smiled slightly. He glanced at the long knife clenched in his right hand. Bankei. Ye Chen let out a soft cry. Raijin Jaka trembled wildly, and such a voice came from Ye Chen's heart. Please, call my name. Ye Chen knew that it was Zanpakuto responding to himself. Remnant. Fire sword. After saying the name, the flames around Ye Chen stopped dancing instantly. Crazy influx into the residual fire sword. Countless flames. Crazy compression. The flames thousands of meters high disappeared instantly. Inside the ice layer, countless eyes were stunned. The flame is gone. Can't see a trace of fire. But the next second, they were shocked. Hot. So hot. A sense of heat came instantly. Ye Chen clenched the residual fire sword tightly, and the temperature on his arm surprised himself. My body is free from fire, and it hurts so much. The residual fire sword swallowed the last trace of flame into the sword. A wisp of residual smoke slowly floated from the tip of the knife, and the residual fire sword was like a rusted waste knife, as if it would shatter when touched. Ye Chen felt that in the air, the moisture was evaporating like crazy. Zhang Bingking was also shocked. What kind of power is this? The ice layer melts, and the moment it melts, the water droplets evaporate instantly. Ye Chen knew that he couldn't delay any longer. 15 million degrees of high temperature. The temperature at the center of the sun is only 20 million degrees. If it drags on, the water on the earth will be evaporated. Remnant. Fire sword north. Ye Chen screamed in the sky, and the voice spread all over the capital city. Ashes of heaven and earth. Ye Chen put the residual fire sword in front of him, and swung it out. A flame of several hundred meters was launched towards the sky. The dazzling light dyes the whole sky red. Countless figures endured the high temperature, and looked up at the sky. That flame of several hundred meters instantly split the meteorite into 2 halves. It's a pity, it's just split in half. Still dying. Haha. Chen. Nanfeng had a look of fear on his face. He felt the loss of water in his body thousands of miles away, and thought he was going to fail. Seeing that the meteorite was only split in half, he spoke with confidence. It's just split in half. It's useless. But Ye Chen doesn't think so. The ashes of heaven and earth, but a move that can destroy everything touched by the slash. Ye Chen lifted Bankei instantly, sat cross-legged on the ground, and reached out to find water in the space ring. Only then did I find that the space ring was melted. This made Ye Chen very helpless, but he didn't say anything. Look up at the meteorite in the sky. Ended. The moment Ye Chen finished saying those words, the meteorite in the sky suddenly disintegrated, like ashes. Ashes are ashes. As if it never appeared. Disappeared. Don't die. We survived. Zhang Bingking looked up and watched the meteorite disappear. Thoughtfully. The power to destroy the world Demigods can't do it, right? If the temperature just persists for a few more minutes, the consequences are unimaginable. It took only 15 seconds between Ye Chen's use of the residual fire sword and the release of Bankai. Zhang Bingqing's ice domain was instantly disintegrated. To be precise, it only lasted for 3 seconds, then directly unable to communicate with the ice element. Ice Phoenix and Zhang Bingqing were both stunned at the time. What about my ice? Exclamation mark. Chapter 137. The business is somewhat unskilled. Zhang Bingqing hasn't reacted yet. Raijin Jaka's Bankai disappeared. The huge heat also slowly faded away. But the temperature around Ye Chen was still millions. There was no more clothes hanging on his body, and there were bursts of sizzling noises even from the ground where he was sitting. It can be said that the current Ye Chen is like a walking sun. After Zhang Bingqing discovered that his ice ability was completely unusable, he discovered a crucial thing, that is, the moisture in the city of Kyoto is rapidly evaporating, and there is no more moisture in the air to condense into ice. Zhang Bingqing flew into the air and flew in the direction of Ji Qianmeng. Although the ice element cannot be used flying as a breeze. While flying, he took out his mobile phone and called Ji Qianmeng. Senior. Ji, I need water. A lot of water. Zhang Bingqing didn't even say why. Ji Qianmeng understood it in seconds because he could feel a scorching temperature from his current position. Ji Xiaodo on the side heard this sentence and instantly found the watering in his space ring. All the water was poured out. At the moment when dozens of tons of water poured out, it did not have the effect of dispersing the crowd as imagined, but evaporated at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this moment, in the capital city, countless people used spiritual power to resist the heat with difficulty. These are not enough. Ji Qianmeng's eyes narrowed slightly, and she moved quickly in the direction of East Blue. The space movement made Ji Qianmeng appear above East Blue in an instant. Ji Qianmeng plunged into the sea without any hesitation. Controlling the power of space, jumped into space again and appeared directly in the depths of the sea. When a huge sea beast saw Ji Qianmeng, it suddenly opened its mouth wide. The ring on Ji Qianmeng's hand flashed purple light, leaving a purple halo in the distance. A teleport instantly disappeared in front of the sea beast. This made the sea beast, who was about to add a meal, suddenly stunned. At this moment, Ji Qianmeng was already in the sky above Kyoto City. Shuttle door. Ji Qianmeng once again condensed a purple halo. In an instant, the sea water poured down from the air. The aperture is getting bigger and bigger, and more sea water is gushing out. This made Ye Chen breathe a sigh of relief. The moisture in the air was gone, and if there was no more water, I'm afraid that tens of millions of people in Kyoto City will not be killed by meteorites, but will be killed by myself. The moment the countless sea water touched the air, it instantly turned into water vapor and floated into the sky. On the other side, Chen Nanfeng was watching the huge sea water gushing out of the capital city with a gloomy face. Damn it, what bastard ruined my plan? Yang Guan on the side stood silently behind Chen Nanfeng. When the vice hierarch is angry, not interjecting is the best way to save his life. After all, Chen Nanfeng's lead can be instant. Even a 1 decimeter sized meteorite can be pulled down. It is completely inconsistent with the common sense that atmospheric friction will destroy meteorites. Yang Guan, let's go. Master, where are you going? Chen Nanfeng did not speak and flew towards the west with Yang Guan. That direction is where the demigods are. A new conspiracy is brewing. Ye Chen fell to the ground and formed a big character. As for why it was not too big, it was naturally unsightly. Hey, are you mistaken? I'm the source of the heat. Bring water to me. Ye Chen shouted with all his strength. Ji Qianmeng, who was in the sky above, heard the words and felt that it was the same. Controlled the shuttle door to move in the direction of Ye Chen. The closer to Ye Chen, the faster the sea water evaporates. Ji Qianmeng felt a little unbearable. This temperature, a bit too much, right? Thinking of this, Ji Qianmeng aimed the sea water column at Ye Chen and used the power of space again to slip away. The moment the sea water touched Ye Chen, a crackling sound instantly sounded. Wow, it's comfortable. Ye Chen's tired body and mind suddenly relaxed. The moment he finished speaking, a school of fish fell with the seawater. Ye Chen, who closed his eyes and enjoyed the scouring of the sea, suddenly screamed, "No, not there." Ye Chen grabbed a certain fish that was going to attack his little brother. Ye Chen didn't take it seriously at first. After all, at his own temperature, let alone fish, coming to a dragon, not a fire element, would be uncomfortable, right? But the fish was nothing at all. After Ye Chen caught it, the fish instantly turned into dust and was washed away by the seawater. I thought I could eat grilled fish. Ye Chen is comfortable here, but Kyoto City is embarrassed. Although the temperature has dropped, but now the whole Kyoto is full of fog. However, this is exactly what Zhang Bingking wanted. The wings spread out behind him and fly high into the sky. The field of ice. Zhang Bingking waved his wings slightly behind him, and the water vapor in the air instantly turned into snowflakes and fell towards the bottom point. But after landing at a certain distance, it turned into water vapor and flew up. The situation at this moment is that a certain heat source on the ground is enjoying himself. And above the 10,000 meter altitude, Zhang Bingking pushed the field of ice with all his strength. And the poor Ji Qian Meng is also holding the spiritual stone to absorb the spiritual power. After all, it takes a lot of spiritual energy to support this shuttle door. Speaking of the system, why doesn't the high temperature dissipate? Don't ask. You just don't know. It's so irresponsible. I remember when old man Yamamoto used this trick. He was free to take it back. Ye Chen said depressedly. System, forget it. You won't tell me anyway. Cough. When pirated, it's just a bug that appeared accidentally. Ye Chen was instantly stunned. But don't worry, I'll add this question to the enhancement screen now. Next time Bankei disappears, so will the temperature. I promise. Brother Tongzi, it's not like you. I'm not used to it. You won't be taken away, right? Ye Chen said in a panic. A certain system is depressed. You really can say anything. If you really want to take the house, at least you have to be a person. When the system is so good, it feels like I'm on a pirate ship, another sealed wood style, and another castrated Raijinjaka. This is not the first time to be a system. The business is fast, a little unskilled. Yes, you are right. Ye Chen directly ignored the system's words anyway. The meaning of the system has been expressed very clearly. My fault, I admit, but the solution is still up to you. Strengthen can improve all bug. Just like before, wood style can't be used without soil. After unblocking, this problem is completely eliminated. I don't know how long it took, but Ye Chen's body temperature finally stabilized. Ji Qian Meng and Zhang Bingking were both exhausted, and the other was driving the ice domain. An open short-range portal. On the other hand, Ye Chen fought with the meteorite, lay down for a few more hours, and then fell into the sea. Chapter 138. The Four Saints Talk. Ye Chen was pushed to the top of the world. Dazai has completely exploded the pot, and this sudden change has caused everyone to fall into contemplation. Everyone knows how high the energy of the meteorite falls and Aksha, except for the demigods. There are still people who can stop the meteorites. No, it should be said to be the destruction of the meteorite. The demigod hasn't shot for a long time. To be honest, this meteorite, if the demigods want to block it, I'm afraid that it will have to pay a huge price. And the unknown ability that appeared was obviously the wood element, and the flame behind him came into view, as well as the brilliance of the knife. Incredibly fast. There is no imaginary explosion, no imaginary brilliant look. Instead, it was cut in two and turned to ashes in an instant. A 2-second video is circulating all over Daoyin, from the sound of the ashes of heaven and earth, and then to the meteorite split in two and turned into ashes. That's right, only 2 seconds. Many broadcasters have begun to popularize science. What kind of strength is required to directly turn meteorites into ashes? The answer is almost the same. To have the temperature of the core of the sun. The core of the sun is 20 million degrees, and the temperature of the residual fire is 15 million degrees. Of course, this temperature is the temperature of the tip of the residual fire. The temperature of other parts of the blade is relatively much lower. If Ye Chen touches the tip of the residual fire sword, it will be turned into ashes. There is no other reason, because the residual fire sword that has reached this level uses the power of rules. If you touch it, it will be turned into ashes. When you reach this level, there are only other rules that can fight against the rules. However, this trick should not be used indiscriminately. In just 15 seconds of Bankai time, the temperature of the blue star skyrocketed. Think about it. Suddenly a solar core appears on a blue star. Can the temperature not skyrocket? If not 15 seconds. In just 1 minute of Bankai, snow and ice melt, glaciers melt, volcanic eruptions. Maybe it was Ye Chen who destroyed the world. On the Douyin platform, whether it is the top executives of Daxia, or the major broadcasters, or the military situation on the front line, no one is reposting such a video. From that true several thousand hands to ashes of heaven and earth, the boy did his best. In the video, Ye Chen's full performance was clearly recorded. A few minutes of video let people get a lot of useful information. For example, the two sentences in the video obviously have a relatively immature voice. In other words, it was a boy who saved the city of Kyoto. And when the candidates who took the exam in Kyoto City saw the giant Buddha, they were not surprised. But when they heard Wenny's sage art in the video, they were sure that person's name, his name is Ye Chen. He is 18 years old, and his talent is wood. When the first person came out and said it was Ye Chen, no one believed it. But then the second voice, the third voice all said that the person was Ye Chen. The whole world is shaken. Ice. Phoenix, when will that kid bring it over for me to meet? While watching the video, Bei Junjian followed Zhang Bingking, and the magic stick in a video conference. Zhang Bingking was a little speechless. What do you mean by bringing it over for you to meet? He's not my boyfriend, and you're not my dad. Besides, my dad has seen it. Ye Chen is not my person. If he wants to see you, he will naturally go. Haha, I thought it was your little boyfriend. This is without your consent? Bei Junjian responded with a smile. The holy stick shook his head helplessly. Don't quarrel. What's going on with old man G's arrangement, senior? G. E. Zhang Bingking opened his mouth to answer. Yo, isn't this an old god stick? You're going to die after not seeing each other for so many years. Ji Qianmeng appeared behind Zhang Bingking with a hilarious smile. Looking at the familiar face of the old god stick, Ji Qianmeng smiled very happily. It feels good to be home, and the old friends are not dead yet. Old man Ji, you are getting a lot older. The old god cudgel squinted at Ji Qianmeng's face. Well, it's been decades in the blink of an eye. Yeah, that fellow Yansheng is dead, and the former three saints are the only ones left to live. Bei Junjian and Zhang Bingking did not interrupt their conversation. But the two also reacted, and after a few words of greetings, they began to chat about business. On the north side, I'm sitting here, and with the blessing of frost and cold snow, the north side doesn't need help for the time being, but needs some support in terms of thermal materials. East, blue, needs some help. In the water, my sword was very restrained, but for now I can hold on. Zhang Bingking and Bei Junjian both stated their current problems. The demigods won't leave the border for a short time, and I don't know how long they can maintain peace in the inland. The holy stick said deeply. I sealed a semi-holy level alien beast near Zhanghe City, and I don't have the ability to destroy it. South Blue also needs to pay more attention. Ji Qianmeng said with a frown. Everyone fell into contemplation. According to Ji Qianmeng's statement, there are simply not enough people. There have been constant wars between the North and East Blue, and the demigods are sitting in the southwest, and not many other beasts dare to be reckless. But now the demigods are breaking through the realm, and there is no way to protect the human race. Fortunately, the appearance of Ye Chen made up for the lack of peak combat power. I can still predict another future. The holy stick said suddenly. Ji Qianmeng frowned instantly. I don't need your prophecy. Ji Qianmeng could see from the video that the old man's physical condition had reached the point where the lights were exhausted. At their age, although they look a little old on the surface, their bodies are different, and they still maintain a young body. And the old god stick, who is a saint, but it is difficult to even stand up, predict another future, and what awaits him will be the only ending. Seeing that Ji Qianmeng's attitude was very firm, The magic stick smiled slightly. Okay, old friend, listen to you. So there's another question. Ye Chen's identity problem. How to solve it. In fact, that's what they're really talking about in their video conference today. Geniuses need protection. After all, their wings are not full. Bei Junjian pondered, but Ye Chen's strength is strong enough, and even that knife can kill me. I don't think there is any need to hide. A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of Zhang Bingqing's mouth. Since he is a hero, why should he hide it? It is very unfortunate that the four saints thought of One Piece and went point right now. The human race is weak and needs an encouraging news, and Ye Chen. It was the good news. The four of them smiled alike. Chapter 139 Ye Chen and -039's adventure. After half an hour, a Douyin video appeared in the world with the title "Another Saint Added to the Human Race." The account that posted the video is the Ice Phoenix Saint Hashi-Chen-This video has only a few pictures and a name. One of the pictures is of Ye Chen standing on top of the big Buddha. There are also pictures of Ye Chen holding Raijin Jaka. This video tells the world directly. The one who saved the city of Kyoto was Ye Chen. Yanling looked at Douyin and fell into self-deprecation. It's ridiculous. The man I've been chasing in my life is actually you. He has always regarded Bei Shan as the target of his pursuit, but he did not expect that even Bei Shan could not catch up with Ye Chen's footsteps. Ye Chen, he is sanctified? Basin was in Zhanghe City. His mind was blank at that time. During this time, I was busy with a lot of things, although I knew about Ye Chen. But it's only been a few days. The West Wind Lion King and Land Batian also looked at this Douyin with their eyes facing each other. Boy, Ye. It won't be so fast after taking hormones, right? You ask me, who am I to ask? The West Wind Lion King said angrily. After cultivating for 200 or 300 years, Heoi was born. Look at people again. 18 years old, male high school student, Saint. Bei Shan took a sip of wine silently. The name Ye Chen was engraved in his heart and could not be erased. At this moment, the whole world knew about Ye Chen. Even those Ye Chen classmates have begun to doubt life. Why was he suddenly sanctified? It's not that fast, is it? Others awakened their talents, and they became the peak of the world in half a month. I have awakened my talent, but I haven't awakened the three realms in half a month. So what? Where can I report a bug? And Ye Chen was still sleeping soundly at the moment. After his body cooled down, Ye Chen slept until now. In the eyes of outsiders, Ye Chen's battle is to stand there and use Wooden Golem. But as everyone knows, every use of Susanoo is a burden on the spirit. Don't fall asleep. Zyop. The reward has arrived today, and I will send you a drop of the Fountain of Life Spirit liquid. Ye Chen was still asleep and didn't hear the system at all. The system thoughtfully put the items into the system's backpack. Speaking of which, Ye Chen's ring was melted. If it wasn't for the hair growth cream that was placed in the system backpack, I'm afraid that Ye Chen is going to cry and become bald again. But after going through this incident, Ye Chen decided at the time, the residual fire sword can no longer be used. Attacks that can kill gods are no longer the destruction of the world. Onward style worry free, a bunch of AoE physical output, but also with control. What's more important? Exclamation mark. Wood style has the effect of greening the environment, killing enemies, greening, killing two birds with one stone. After Ye Chen woke up, he silently applied a hair growth cream to himself. Then I went out to get my hair done. It's just that Ye Chen didn't notice the changes in the people on the street. With such a big movement, it can be said that the city of Kyoto is in chaos, but not really much damage. After all, in this day and age, many of the materials for building a house are created by talent. Regional earthquakes have little impact. The 30,000 meter giant Buddha didn't jump up and squat, but if it really jumped, it would really be the end of the capital city. As for the water source, it was resolved on the same day. Isn't that just transporting some drinking water from out of town? Jikai and Meng took out thousands of storage rings on the spot, and she had to fill them up when she said anything. If people hadn't cried and said, "Don't pretend, this lake will be dry," Ji Kai and Meng saw that people were crying so sadly, so she was not willing to kill her the rest of his life. In Kyoto was like a dream point. After a short cleanup, order of life was restored. Hello, welcome to Milan Hairdressing. Excuse me, the front desk just said this sentence, and before he finished speaking, he stared at Ye Chen with stern eyes. Oh, I get a haircut. Ye Chen didn't find anything wrong. Instead, he looked at the front desk staring at him with a dazed expression. But Ye Chen still doesn't take it seriously. Maybe he is too handsome. Touching his chin, he walked towards the store. The dozens of barbers in the store all looked at Ye Chen with their mouths open. Mr. Ye, what hairstyle do you need? A teacher Tony reacted and ran up to ask. In an instant, a group of people hugged each other and wanted to cut Ye Chen's hair. Ye Chen panicked immediately. This kind of scene is even weirder than an army of 100,000 people. The 100,000 strong army of the Scarlet Continent Martial Empire. Can we compare to a group of barbers? After a while, the store manager finally got the qualification to cut Ye Chen's hair. Mr. Ye drink tea. The little sister at the front desk also handed the tea to Ye Chen. Ye Chen was still confused at the moment. Why do they know my surname is Ye? Why are you so enthusiastic all of a sudden? Are you going to steal my money again? I suddenly feel uncomfortable. Okay, thank you. The little sister at the front desk immediately blushed when Ye Chen said thank you. A saint just said thank you to himself. He timidly said, Mr. Ye, can I take a photo with you? Ye Chen nodded inexplicably and was hugged all of a sudden, his face buried somewhere unknown. Then there was a sound of taking pictures. Ye Chen took a deep breath. In stunned silence. The little sister took another photo in a different way. Ye Chen's face was hot and no one could react. What if it happened again? The little girl at the front desk shyly slipped away, took out her mobile phone, and sent a circle of friends and attached 2 selfies. Saint Ye Chen is so handsome. Her circle of friends exploded. And Ye Chen finished cutting his hair in confusion, then stood up to get his mobile phone, and then remembered that his mobile phone was also melted. Oh, brother, if I say I forgot to bring money, will you hit me? Ye Chen said awkwardly, looking at the flattering store manager in the mirror. Of course not. The store manager clasped his hands together and said excitedly, can I take a picture with you too? Ye Chen was stunned. What's the situation today? Why is he shouting to take a photo with himself? And just after Ye Chen took a photo with the store manager, a large crowd poured in. Where is Lord Ye Sheng's little Mary? What about Lord Ye Sheng? That's right. This group of people came after seeing the little sister's circle of friends at the front desk. Xiaomi silently pointed to Ye Chen beside her. A hint of coolness flashed behind Ye Chen. Why do I feel a bad feeling? When Ye Chen turned to look, a group of people stared at Ye Chen with red eyes. Ye Chen took 2 steps back. You don't come here. Then, a group of people swarmed. In Ye Chen's screams, there were several more kisses on his face. Ye Chen returned home in rags. Chapter 140 Ye Chen and -039's next decision. Until the end, Ye Chen didn't understand what went wrong. Did you cross again? Are these people crazy? Ye Chen wanted to use some strength to break free, but with his strength, if he broke free, it would inevitably hurt them. What's more, a group of girls, how can this be broken free? Alas. Mainly because we can't beat women, you know? Definitely not because I want to experience what it's like to be kissed by a bunch of girls. Absolutely not. It was not until Ye Chen returned to Ji Xiaodo's villa that he found Zhang Zilei sitting on the sofa drinking hot tea. TSK, go out for a trip. The encounter is not shallow, Zhang Zilei said with a wicked smile. Ye Chen blushed. I don't understand what you said. Pretending to sort out his clothes, he was about to walk towards his room. Zhang Zilei shook his head. I don't know how to wipe the lipstick or something, and those who don't know what I'm doing think I'm doing it. Ye Chen, who walked to the door of the room embarrassedly, hid in the room, then opened the door and said, buy me a cell phone. My cell phone was melted. Okay. Zhang Zilei picked up the hot tea, took a sip, and responded. It's not that Ye Chen didn't go by himself. The main reason was that he was afraid and couldn't fly yet. Otherwise, there won't be so many things, and you won't be able to fly and be surrounded, and it will inevitably be another meal point. But this time the battle allowed Ye Chen to break through the sea, which is not bad point, it just felt that it was a bit slower. And Ye Chen had already discovered the strangeness of this cultivation system point. It was good to move mountains and seas, to practice strength and practice, but in fact, for Ye Chen, he did not feel the so-called increase in strength and method at all point. But Ye Chen doesn't care about these things. After all, it may be related to his lack of so-called talent. Until now, Ye Chen has no so-called talent point, and getting stronger is just absorbing spiritual energy. The so-called broken mirror is only to feel more or less spiritual energy in the body point. Of course, these are still too far away for Ye Chen. After all, he has only fallen to the sea level point. Maybe, when you step into the holy realm, you will understand. But now my spiritual stone flowers are almost the same, and there is no spiritual stone to practice. In the previous battle, I poured all the spirit stones at my feet with the cycle of the good fortune hang up breathing technique in Susanoo. Although a lot was used up, after the true several thousand hands technique was lifted, I don't know where the spirit stone went. Maybe at Raijin Jakabanke. It was not necessarily melted by the high temperature point. However, when Ye Chen woke up and looked at his backpack, he realized that there was a drop of the spiritual liquid of the fountain of life in his bag, saying that after drinking it, he could repair all his injuries and increase his lifespan by 100 years. Ye Chen pondered, this is of no use to himself. Now, his body has a super strong self-healing ability point. The speed of high-speed regeneration has also doubled after the void forces strengthened point, coupled with the self-healing of Sage body. As long as it is not killed instantly, it can basically recover. Ye Chen, who had just calmed down for a while, took out the secret bead in the system space. System, with my current strength, can I enter the secret realm? Ye Chen stared curiously. If you don't die for a day, it's boring to live idle, isn't it? The system was speechless at the time. What do you want to do? Now that you have just finished a wave of destroying the city, can you cultivate well, and wait for me to arrange something stronger for you? Ye Chen touched his head embarrassedly. Isn't this idle and boring? Until evening, Zhang Zilei returned to the villa with the new mobile phone prepared for Ye Chen. So lively. When entering the hall, Zhang Zilei was stunned. I saw that the living room was densely packed with people. Not only Ji Qian Meng and Zhang Binking, but also many faces that Zhang Zilei had never seen before. Yan Mingxuan of the Yan family also brought Yan Ling and Li Shujin behind him. Ji Qian Meng followed Ji Xiaodo. Fang Zhengguo of the Fang family also had Fang Qingshan, and even Beidi Shan stood silently not far away. This scene is really big. The atmosphere was also very awkward. They came to visit Ye Chen, but they didn't expect the two saints to be there. Then it's not going to go. It's not going to go. Then there is the above scenario. The patriarchs of the two major families were sitting next to the two saints, not daring to say a word. On the other hand, Beidi Shan is more casual. After all, if he is present, except for Shuangsheng, his own strength is definitely the strongest point. But Fang Zhengguo was his mother's father anyway, so he had to be polite. Ye Chen's head hurts a bit now. So many people came all of a sudden, a little not used to it. After the scene was awkward for more than 10 minutes, Ye Chen spoke slowly. It's dinner time again, so why don't you all stay for a quick meal? Good. XN+1. Ye Chen was stunned. I just wanted to be polite. Shouldn't you say, if you don't eat your meal, you're going to say goodbye? I'm so embarrassed by you guys. I suddenly remembered that I don't have much ingredients at home, so let's forget it. Ye Chen quickly waved his hand and said, it's okay, we brought it. A group of people said in unison. I saw Zhang Binking silently throw a cow out of the space ring. It's not big or small, but it also weighs 2 or 3,000 pounds. Ji Qian Meng's saliva suddenly flowed out. Shocking mountain crazy bull. This strange beast still exists. Ji Xiaodo also swallowed the best beef in the scorching sun. Ji Qian Meng's eyes lit up when she heard Ji Xiaodo's words. As expected of my junior, yes, this guy's meat is delicious, but your cultivation is too low to eat much. Then He took out a low-level alien beast from the ring. This kind of chicken-type alien beast is not bad, and it's only in the sea level, so it's just right for you. Ye Chen was about to cry. Did you do it on purpose? By the way, Ye Zhaozi, I saved the capital city this time. I haven't asked you what reward you want. Ji Qian Meng brought the topic to Ye Chen. Ye Chen suddenly became confused, as if he really didn't need anything. After thinking for a long time, Ye Chen hesitated. The spirit stone that the Yan family gave me before was almost melted by the flames. When Yan Mingxuan heard this, he instantly became excited. It's easy to say, the Yan family is willing to donate 100,000 spirit stones to thank Ye Chen for saving the capital city. Fang Zhengguo glared at Yan Mingxuan, thinking that he had lost his chance. Our family is also willing to donate 100,000 spirit stones. Fang Zhengguo said that he has never said anything good in his life, and he is not as smooth as Yan Mingxuan. On the other hand, Beidi Shan was different. He stood up from the chair and looked at Ye Chen with fighting intent. The Bei family can give millions of spirit stones, but Ye Chen, I want to fight with you. Chapter 141. When Beizhen called Beidi Shan last time to say that Ye Chen had killed Hao Jing, Beidi Shan was still skeptical. After all, Ye Chen's strength at that time was not so bright. It can only be said that the bizarre ability shocked him a little. It is a clone and a wooden dragon. And it didn't take long for Ye Chen to show himself a hand to destroy the meteorite by himself. It was even heard that Senju was rescued by Ye Chen in a secret realm. Ye Chen looked at Beidi Shan with a strange face. Ah, you sure? You know that I destroyed the meteorite, and you still want to fight with me? Yes. Beidi Shan narrowed his eyes slightly, and said without hesitation. Ye Chen watched Beidi Shan count his breaths and shook his head silently. I won't fight you. Why? You are not Beidi Shan. Everyone was stunned. What kind of thing? Isn't this Beidi Shan? Even Ji Qian Meng and Zhang Bingqing silently glanced at Beidi Shan. The corners of their eyes twitched slightly. They really opened their mouths and came to you. Beidi Shan immediately began to doubt life. I'm not White Di Shan. Are you? The White Di Shan I know doesn't have anxiety and doubts in his eyes. What about your self-confidence? Don't trust your sword anymore. It seems that you are not a pure swordsman. Beidi Shan's body trembled slightly. All that came to mind were the figure of the meteorite and the sharpness of Ye Chen's knife. Beidi Shan did not speak. Ye Chen struck while the iron was hot and opened his mouth with a smile. Have you ever thought that your current strength is against me? In case I can't stop it, in case you lose, your invincibility will be broken. A little frustration convinced you? You are excellent, but you can't accept that others are better than you? The mentality needs to be tempered. Beidi Shan kept his mouth shut, gave Ye Chen a deep look, and then sat back. I put a space ring on the table. My father asked me to give it to you. Ye Chen smiled and said nothing more. Zhang Bingqing and Ji Qian Meng on the side couldn't bear to look directly at them. Ye Chen, this kid, pretended to be an expert and also pretended to be good. Oh, I'm just joking with you. Don't be so serious. Ye Chen suddenly felt as if he was going too far. Zhao Duo, where was your last chef? Let him come over to cook. Ji Zhao nodded quickly. Oh, okay. So began a not very pleasant dinner. After everyone dispersed, Ji Qian Meng and Zhang Bingqing told Ye Chen about the front line. Ye Zhaozi, the situation on the northern side is relatively stable now, while on the east blue side, Bei Junjian's underwater combat ability is relatively weak, and there are demigods in the southwest, and you don't need your support for the time being. So I thought, how about you go to East Blue to help White Sword Saint? Ye Chen pondered for a while. In East Blue's words, does that mean that all alien beasts are of the water type? I'm not good at water either. Otherwise, you come to the north. If you use the flame once, I can't use the ice element. Why don't you sit in the north alone? Zhang Bingqing said angrily. Ye Chen scratched his head embarrassedly. That's what makes Raijin Jaka scary. After Bankei, all the abilities of ice and water are directly invalidated. Okay, can't I just go? Ye Chen was very helpless. Then Go to East Blue tomorrow, and I'll take you there. Ji Qian Meng said with a shrug. That won't work. I have to go back to Zhanghai City. There is still a strange beast that you sealed a semi-holy level before, and it has not been killed. I'm a little worried about leaving now. Huh? Are you talking about the scavenger? Ji Qian Meng immediately remembered when Ye Chen said it was a semi-sage sealed by him. That guy's vitality is too tenacious. After he was killed, he came back to life within a few days. In a fit of anger, I sealed him in the space crack. Speaking of which, how many times have I beaten him to death? Why is it 7 or 8 times? Ye Chen was surprised. Scavenger? There is such a strange beast. That's not true. I was shocked at the time, but then I didn't take it seriously. After all, mice can be alienated so strongly. A scavenger, anyway, has a strong vitality. Ji Qian Meng pondered for a while. I'll take you there tomorrow and simply kill it, and then you can go to East Blue with peace of mind. Right, probably. The next morning, Ye Chen and Ji Qian Meng set foot on the road back to Zhanghai City Point, but in fact, it only took 10 minutes, and Ji Qian Meng arrived with 2 or 3 space jumps. When Ji Qian Meng reached the sky above Zhanghai City, a lion suddenly climbed up from a huge spiritual stone. This breath above the sky. Ye Chen grabbed Ji Qian Meng's arm and laughed and teased. Your ability is really useful. It's a pity. If my Sharingan had Camu, I wouldn't need you. This sentence can only be thought in Ye Chen's mind. Practical. Ass. From Kyoto to here, the spiritual power in my body is almost exhausted. Ji Qian Meng said angrily. What's the matter? It's like flying without spiritual power, and it's a waste of time. Ye Chen rolled his eyes, then pointed to the school not far below. Go and see an old acquaintance first. I'm a coolie. You haven't always been. Ji Qian Meng ignored Ye Chen's words, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Ye Chen suddenly felt that something was wrong, and looked back at Ji Qian Meng. Go eat the dirt. Ji Qian Meng directly threw Ye Chen down. Ye Chen widened his eyes and glared at Ji Qian Meng. Fuck you. Don't talk about martial arts. A wailing sound rang out from the sky of Zhanghai number 1 middle school, and countless people looked at the figure. That person fell from the sky. F***ck. This is going to be hit. It will kill people. Right. No, brother. Shouldn't we think about how to save him? Save him? You are so arrogant. I dare not. Funny. How can this be saved? Take the head to the rescue. In case of being hit, it is the same as winning the lottery. That is, the prize is a direct death point. After speaking, the big brother walked away silently. Ye Chen screamed loudly with his head down. Step aside. This sentence made everyone tacitly give up an empty space. Boom. Did you think it would be head first? Of course not. It must have landed perfectly. Seeing Ye Chen kneeling on one knee, Raijin Jaka called out and held it in his hand. Let's fight to the death. Old thing. Ye Chen had a MP in his heart. I was almost killed by this old thing. After all, we are also the so-called new saints. Although there is no holy realm cultivation base, but somehow there is holy realm strength. P.S. There will be one more chapter. To chapters first. Chapter 142. My attack method is a bit single. TSK. Ye Chen, how come you can't even fly? Ji Qian Meng flew down from the sky point. There was a smile on his face. Ye Chen blushed. I want you to take care. Fight. Come. I'll take a knife. Ye Chen said, and pulled out Raijin Jaka point. Ji Qian Meng was embarrassed, and the corners of her eyes kept twitching. Point. He can't play this kid. Looking at his posture, if he doesn't cut himself, I'm afraid he won't give up. Ye Chen. A call sounded from behind Ye Chen. Ye Chen heard the words, and suddenly put Raijin Jaka away. Old Zhang, the two looked at each other. Zhang Daosheng was very happy. Point. He set his eyes on Ji Qian Meng again. Ji Sheng is here too. Come in and sit down. Ji Qian Meng watched this scene, and breathed a sigh of relief, as if she had escaped. Old Zhang, wait, I'll cut him first. Ji Qian Meng, you seem to have that serious illness. Zhang Daosheng was stunned. Don't make trouble. Oh, well. Ye Chen reluctantly put away Raijin Jaka point. Ji Qian Meng glanced at Zhang Daosheng with a little gratitude. Speaking of which, when you awakened your talent, it seemed that not long ago, and now you have become a saint. It feels like a dream. Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen and smiled. Unknowingly, it had been more than 10 days. It was indeed not long ago. Ye Chen's words left Zhang Daosheng not knowing how to proceed. Ji Qianmeng wanted to laugh. When she saw this scene. I thought this kid was targeting me, but I didn't expect his passive to be indistinguishable. As long as you can refute it, you must blurt it out. Cough. Why are you returning to Zhanghai City this time? I plan to go to the front line, come back first, and kill that semi-holy beast. Huh. Exactly. There seem to be some changes in the coastal towns and villages in the past few days. Or, Ye Sheng, you solved it easily? Zhang Daosheng looked at Ye Chen with a smile. You have already spoken. Can I still refuse? Ye Chen said with a gloomy face. After chatting for a while, Ye Chen left. After all, there is something important today, not a vacation. When Ye Chen and Ji Qianmeng came to the beach, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. Zhanghai City is peaceful, but the seaside not far away is covered with dark clouds. The sea water kept surging, and indeed something happened. As Zhang Daosheng said, TSK, boy, I don't even know what to say to you. You won't have the halo of the legendary protagonist, will you? Ji Qianmeng teased, while looking at the surging sea water. How to say, in this scene, it is obvious that the scavenger is about to be born. What do you think? Ji Qianmeng is a little suspicious of life now. How many days have you known Ye Chen? I always feel that everything he does is just right. For example, in the secret realm, Ye Chen's group wanted to leave, but Ye Chen just stayed and saved himself. Then just came a meteorite, just solved it, and instantly became famous. I planned to kill this semi-holy alien beast first, but as soon as I came here, the alien beast seemed to know that you were coming. It was broken ahead of time. Do you think this is a joke? It's really smooth. So where did you seal him? Ye Chen changed the subject. Probably going that direction for 7 or 8 kilometers. Ji Qianmeng pointed in a direction and took Ye Chen's hand to move the space. Ye Chen appeared on the sea level before anyone could react. Ji Qianmeng's eyes narrowed slightly. Ye Chen suddenly felt bad. Fuck. You fucking come again. That's right. Ji Qianmeng threw Ye Chen from the sky again. Ye Chen was completely angry. Old guy, you are finished. I must chop you today. Ha ha ha. I said I forgot that you can't fly. Do you believe it? I believe your uncle. You obviously used to throw it. Ye Chen flipped 360 degrees in the air and landed firmly on the sea. Ji Qianmeng was all dumbfounded. What the heck? Can you stand on the water? Ye Chen took out Raijin Jaka with a gloomy face, jumped up, and slashed at Ji Qianmeng. Cough. Cough. Boy, I was wrong. I was wrong, sir. Let me cut with one knife. Just one knife. Ye Chen took Raijin Jaka and slashed with one knife. Ji Qianmeng put her fingers together, and an invisible space wall instantly blocked Ye Chen's attack. Young people, don't keep hacking. Civilized society. Okay, I slashed you. How dare you block it? Ji Qianmeng was shocked by this sentence. What the heck? I can't stop it. Everything is ashes, or la ashes. Raijin Jaka. After Ye Chen recited the Shigale language, the flames burst out instantly, and Raijin Jaka attached a high temperature of thousands of degrees. Ah. You really here? Nonsense. You can still fake it with you. Just a knife. I promise to be gentle. Ye Chen shouted softly and fell fiercely with the knife. You call this light? Ji Qianmeng was stunned. This knife is deadly. Is it light? But Ji Qianmeng also knew that Ye Chen was just looking for an excuse to try his strength. After all, his mask wearing state hasn't been used yet. If you want to play, I'll accompany you. Ji Qianmeng became interested after being beaten by Ye Chen. Space distortion, Ji Qianmeng pointed out, and the space in front of Ye Chen instantly reversed. Ye Chen was shocked and quickly turned sideways to dodge, but his clothes were torn apart by the distorted space in an instant, and a piece of flesh and blood was swallowed by the distorted space. Wow, old man, you're trying to kill me. Ye Chen looked at his injury and noticed his state of falling from the sky. Sage. Artwood style wood dragon technique. Ye Chen activated the Sage mode in the body point. The immortal pattern instantly appeared. Ye Chen stood on top of the wooden dragon and killed Ji Qian Meng again. The battle method of the power of space is like this. Compared with other talent battles, it is relatively simple, such as space breaking, tearing, twisting, pulling away, blocking, etc. Ji Qian Meng avoided Ye Chen's words attack. He said. Ye Chen slashed with one sword, and Ji Qian Meng controlled the space barrier to block it. You can try space shock, Ye Chen said, while waving his long knife. Shock. Well, if you can achieve spatial shock, every punch and every blow you make in the future will have a shock effect, but you can break, tear, twist, pull away, and block these attacks as a single attack. Ye Chen replied to Ji Qian Meng's words and complained again. Isn't it single? Fragmentation is to smash the space and form a turbulent flow. If it is torn, it is similar to shattering, but the scope is smaller. You have just tried twisting, and pulling away is to make an area of space disappear. You can see it, but I can't touch it. The blockade just can't escape. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Fish Demon. Shemale, Mermaid, Murloc, Single, Ye Chen scolded angrily. How many fucking ways do you have? How about me? How many? While blocking Ye Chen's attack, Ji Qian Meng looked at Ye Chen in shock. Does your conscience hurt when you say this? The wooden dragon under your feet. Then there is wooden golem. True, several thousand hands. Clones. I heard that there is also a defensive wooden warfare technique. And the blue one. And then the knife in his hand. It's fire or something. How dare you talk about me? That doesn't include your mask and what sage mode you're using now. Touch your conscience. Ji Qian Meng was in a hurry. This kid is kicking his nose on his face. My attack method is not even a fraction of his, right? Ye Chen was stunned for a moment. It seems like that's the reason. Ji Qian Meng's blood pressure surged immediately. What is such a rationale? I sooner or later get pissed off by you guy. Ye Chen rode the wooden dragon and fought back and forth with Ji Qian Meng on the sea surface. Facts have proved that now his strength, without using wood style and Bankei, can also be comparable to the Saint. However, Ji Qian Meng's combat experience was slightly better than that. After all, Ji Qian Meng climbed to the Holy Land step by step. And Ye Chen's Holy Realm strength is the same as the opening, and he flew up with a how. Old guy, pick it up. Torch. Ye Chen swung out a knife, and Ji Qian Meng quickly controlled the space around him, blocking a crack in front of Ye Chen and himself. Ye Chen was stunned. How could he be like this? But Ji Qian Meng is also thinking, your motherfucker is completely unscientific. Why is there a flame tornado hundreds of meters above the sea? The two looked at each other in surprise, and one felt that the spatial ability was a bit pervert. One thinks this flame is unscientific. Little guy, you are going too far. Just learn from each other. Don't be serious. Ji Qian Meng looked at Ye Chen breathlessly and said, after all, he can block the attack of the flame, but the temperature of the flame Ye Chen uses is above thousands of degrees. Ji Qian Meng felt that even her breathing was hot, and she was beginning to lose her breath. There's more to it. Ye Chen swung his knife forward, and Ji Qian Meng hurriedly continued to act as a sparring partner, but neither of them paid attention, and the surging of the sea became more and more intense. Even the sky started to rain lightly. But Ye Chen doesn't care. Who knows if the reason for the sudden rain is because Raijinjaka has evaporated too much water, causing the water vapor to condense quickly. Ye Chen still knows something about this kind of thing. After all, Uzi drives me crazy. Abito's Killen also remembers it clearly. Old guy, you're still pretty strong. If I don't use my trump cards, I'm really not able to beat you. Ye Chen said excitedly. Boy, don't make trouble, okay? I can't afford to toss with my old bones. Ji Qian Meng patted her back and said angrily, no, before that alien beast came out, I was so bored. Who made you trick me twice in a row? I said it all. I just forgot that you can't fly. You say it again. You touched your conscience and said, I clearly felt that you threw me down. Ye Chen was furious, stood on top of the wooden dragon, pointed at Ji Meng, and began to roar. I have never suffered this kind of grievance in my life, and I was thrown from the sky twice in a row. Cough. Young man, don't care about those details. Ye Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense with Ji Meng, and once again went head to head. Burn. The city on fire. Countless flames poured out from the Raijin sword, instantly trapping Ji Meng in a fireball. Hey, boy, is there something wrong with your head? Ji Meng moved in a space and appeared behind Ye Chen. Eat my punch. Ji Meng slammed down with a punch. Ye Chen quickly turned around to block, and Raijin blocked in front of his chest. Boom. A shockwave came from Raijin. Ye Chen was shocked. F***ck. I just fucking told you about space vibrations, and you'll fucking do it right away. Ye Chen stepped back several dozen meters and stared at Ji Meng. His right hand holding Raijin was shaking uncontrollably. With the punch just now, a violent vibration was transmitted from the blade to the right arm. There's no way. You're talented and smart. You can do it at a little bit. Ji Meng waved her hand. Because of the violent collision just now, the entire sea surface became even more terrifying. Ye Chen smiled slightly. In that case, how about you try this trick? When Ji Meng heard the words, she felt bad, and her scalp went numb instantly. Just play. Don't make fun of your life. Boy, I advise you to think twice. Ye Chen smiled. You're scared too? But I haven't had enough. Ji Meng waved his hand helplessly. I'll let that alien beast fight you. A semi-holy beast? How boring. Ye Chen was a little unhappy. At this moment, a roar came from the deep sea. This uncle has finally broken through the seal. 100 years. Do you know how I spent these 100 years? Ji Meng. I hate you. Ji Meng and Ye Chen froze in place. Ye Chen looked at Ji Meng with a strange expression. Are you sure you sealed the family? Didn't you do anything else? Do something else. He's a fish. I'm a fucking human being. Ji Meng said that the whole person is not well. Do you actually suspect Laozi is interracial? I'll just ask. Don't worry. You're right if you worry. Ji Meng. In the bottom of the sea, a crack gradually cracked open, and an arm suddenly grabbed the edge of the space crack. A head sticks out. Looking closely, he looks quite handsome. I saw that person jumped up and jumped out of the sea, and the whole person floated in midair. It's been 100 years. Although the loneliness has accompanied me, but I have also become stronger. Ji Meng. I will find you. The beauty stood high in the sky, with a graceful figure and long hair reaching her waist. You don't have to look for it. Ji Meng said to the man, slightly embarrassed. I saw the beauty of the scavenger's disguise turned around abruptly. Ye Chen and Ji Meng were both dumbfounded. Fuck you fucking dead shemale. Ye Chen yelled loudly, before that graceful figure and long hair reaching the waist, without clothes. As a result, he turned around and turned out to be a man. Can you explain what is that thing on your chest? Strictly speaking, he's not a shemale, right? Ji Meng said awkwardly. That fish shemale sounds weird. Then I really can't think of what to call him. Damn pervert. I think it's okay. Ji Meng said after a moment of thought. P.S. There are still 2 chapters later. The reason for this chapter is that I'm describing this fish without wearing it. I'm afraid that it will be reviewed later, and I will make you wait for a long time at night. Chapter 144. The King of East Blue. Ji Meng was already a little suspicious of life, even though she knew that there were all kinds of strange things after the beast changed its human form. But it's the first time I've seen such a bizarre motherfucker, and the scavenger also squinted at Ji Meng. Okay, Ji Meng, you couldn't kill me 100 years ago, and now I'm a saint. You think you can fight me? Ouch. Ji Meng looked at the scavenger, and then looked at his crotch. Unable to hold back, standing on top of Ye Chen's wooden dragon head, began to vomit. Mulong, it's really bad luck. Ji Meng, what do you mean? Look down on me? You don't understand my beauty? The scavenger glared at Ji Kai and Meng. This is because he has traveled to the human race for hundreds of years. From when he was still a low-level alien beast, the human race overheard were all women who like to bulge forward and backward, and this is how he turned into this. Ye Chen resisted the feeling of vomiting. Then, can you put on some pants first? The scavenger didn't react. Boy, kill him quickly. I look disgusting. If I drag it on, I'm afraid that I won't be safe in my old age. Ye Chen listened to Ji Kai and Meng's words and nodded silently. You actually say that I'm disgusting? You actually say that this uncle is disgusting? The scavenger was immediately angry. Bad water. Jet. Ye Chen and Ji Kai and Meng were shocked. This guy's going to fight. On the other hand, Ji Kai and Meng were secretly shocked. The name was very strong when he heard it. When he fought against it, it still didn't know how. Be careful. This move may be very powerful. Ji Kai and Meng asked. Ye Chen also nodded, indicating that he understood. Then the scavenger puffed out a small mouth and spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm. Ye Chen watched this scene and couldn't hold back. Ji Kai and Meng was no exception. The two stood on top of the wooden dragon and vomited directly. Wow, haha, do you have this strength? Seeing that Ye Chen and Ji Kai and Meng didn't even plan to dodge, the scavenger started mocking. Ye Chen is angry. I can't bear your disgust. You actually challenge my bottom line. Fuck. Slash. Ye Chen tried his best. Swinging the knife out, a flame of knife gas directly evaporated the thickness of the mouth. Fuck, I can't kill you today. Ye Mao's name is written upside down. Ye Chen held Raijin Jacka and stared at the scavenger. Ji Kai and Meng was already doubting her life. Just after the thick phlegm came over, he vomited a bit and then immediately used the power of space to leave. And now Ji Kai and Meng is standing thousands of miles away, thinking about why the scavenger will it become so pervert. He just rely on you, little baby. Kill me. Do you think you can do things that Ji Kai and Meng can't do? The scavenger dissed Ye Chen frantically. Ye Chen's face was gloomy, and the power of emptiness poured out from his heart. The mask of emptiness was slowly attached to the cheek. Burn the city on fire. A huge flame gushed out, instantly locking the scavenger in. At this time, with the addition of virtual power, the temperature of the flame exceeded 10,000 degrees, and does the scavenger have any other ability to escape the flames? I'm afraid that under this move, he will be able to kill him. Ye Chen's face was very gloomy. Instead, he hoped that the scavenger wouldn't die so quickly. If he died so quickly, it would be boring. What is this? The scavenger was locked in the flame prison, his brows furrowed, and he cautiously approached the flame. Huge temperature came instantly. The scavenger's wailing sounded. Ye Chen was slightly taken aback. So weak, but the next second, Ye Chen was dumbfounded. It's so cool, little brother, it's so cool. Let's do another one. I saw the silhouette of the scavenger appearing in the flames, and the outline became clearer and clearer. Ye Chen was a little surprised. So far, the only person who really held his flame was Zhu 2. And now, the incarnation of the alien beast in front of him came out of the flames. Even Ji Kai and Meng was a little shocked. He knew how high Ye Chen's flame temperature was. It seems that after the scavenger was sanctified, defense and vitality should have improved qualitatively. But this is a bit too exaggerated. After all, no matter how good your defense is, you are also a water type beast. I underestimated you. Ye Chen murmured. If you take this move, then I will give you the highest respect. Ye Chen shook Raijin Jacka and said to the scavenger, and the scavenger didn't take it seriously at all, standing directly in the flames that burned the city, enjoying the baptism of the flames. This guy really is a pervert, not a hermaphrodite, and his mother is a shaking M. Terrible. If you can, I advise you to avoid this trick. Ye Chen said calmly. It was the first time to use the Yana Hell trick after I advanced to the sea level. To be honest, some people are not sure whether they can kill the scavenger in front of them. Moreover, the current scene is still on the sea. Although the temperature of the flame is very high, the water evaporates while it is raining, which limits the performance of Raijin Jacka. It's not Bankei after all, the kind that burns everything to a temperature where not even the molecules survive. Hide. Are you joking with me, uncle? Who am I? The most powerful being in this world. You tell me to escape. Die of laughter. The scavenger didn't take it seriously at all. In that space crack, The scavenger felt like he was going to die more than once. However, it was found that, although the crack in this space could not get out, it could absorb the spiritual energy outside. Century. The scavenger relied on aura to maintain his life, and at the same time he advanced himself. No water, no food, no air. In such a harsh environment, the scavenger lived for 100 years. Its skin has long been dry, until the first crack in the space crack appeared. The seawater poured in, and it finally drank water that it hadn't had in decades. At that moment, he broke through the realm. Scavenger of the Holy Land. It's such a fish. He survived from the water on someone's wall, escaped from the dog's mouth, and was buried in the soil for several years, slowly becoming a strange beast. 10 years, 100 years have passed, and it has finally become a fish in the semi-sanctuary. Then, met Ye Chen, and just as the scavenger broke through the seal, a pair of eyes in the depths of East Blue suddenly opened. A new holy realm. Interesting. My orcs finally added another holy realm. Look at this breath. It's still a sea monster. The huge body began to move, and the underwater undercurrent surged. The huge figure that covered the sky instantly turned into a human form. I'm going out. You guys keep this place. Yes, my king. From the moment he moved, the entire underwater world was aware of this breath. King of East Blue, wake up. Chapter 145. The scavenger who learned the rules of immortality meets Ye Chen, who is the perfect Ru. Ye Chen always felt uncomfortable. When I fought with it back then, I was not disgusted to death. I was really lucky. Ye Chen looked at the scavenger and said in a low voice, don't die. Hot hell. Raijin Jack across his chest and slashed out. In an instant, the seawater surged wildly. Seawater is boiling all over the area. A pillar of fire burst out from the bottom of the sea. Ye Chen was dumbfounded. Flames gushing out from the bottom of the sea. So unscientific. The scavenger was also interested, and this was the first time he had seen flames gushing from the bottom of the sea. Immediately after, another pillar of fire burst out. The firelight dyed the entire sea red, and even covered the sky with firelight. Interesting. What do you think? Is a mere flame? Can you kill me? The scavenger mocked arrogantly. After all, I'm standing in the flames of 10,000 degrees high temperature, and I can be safe and sound. Even if the temperature is 10,000 degrees higher, I can still be intact. Hundreds of pillars of fire gushing out from the sky. Ye Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. I said earlier, if you can withstand this move, I will let you die with dignity. Ye Chen's voice sounded in the scavenger's ears. Mere human beings. Shameless. Huh. It's very neat to use human idioms. Ye Chen was already a little shocked, because this guy really planned to use his flesh to resist his own scorching hell. Ye Chen silently touched his head. Alas, my poor hair. Originally wanted to remind Ye Chen to let him run away, but when he thought that he had just been tricked twice, he didn't speak. Respect. You are a Han. Male fish. Hundreds of fire pillars to the sky moved quickly towards the scavenger in an instant, but Ye Chen didn't realize that his points were skyrocketing wildly. Under the seabed, countless marine creatures have been cooked by this natural hot pot. When hundreds of fire pillars that reach the sky meet, the whole world seems to be quiet. The huge flame suddenly contracted into a ball, and the flames continued to pour out of the ball. A violent flame surged up, and Ye Chen silently dived into the bottom of the sea. Whether or not you can keep your hair depends on the water, how powerful it is. In an instant, a huge shock wave exploded instantly. A huge pothole was blown out in the sea, hundreds of meters deep. The light rain in the sky turned into a downpour. Ye Chen silently climbed out of the water and stood on the sea. Seawater kept pouring into the huge pothole. Ye Chen, on the other hand, was a scavenger looking directly at the sky with nothing at all. Sure enough, the alien beasts in the Holy Realm are much stronger than the human race in the Holy Realm. Ye Chen complained helplessly. Ye Chen hid in the cracks of space, her face speechless. My Motherfucker doesn't have the ability to kill space, and when I can instantly erase or collapse the space, you won't know how to die. But in fact, Ye Chen has not seen the real battle in the Holy Land. To say that the Holy Realm alien beasts are stronger and weaker than the Holy Realm human race, it must be the human race. Similar to Zhang Binking. He has the element of Ice Phoenix, and also has the body of Ice Phoenix. It can even be turned into an ice egg under certain conditions, waiting for resurrection. After resurrection, it will lose a lot of vitality and aura realm. Similar to Beijunjian, his Junzijian belongs to Ultimate's attack point. Although he has no fancy attributes, his sword can break any defense in the world. This is also an application of the rules. His sword has the rule that it ignores all defenses. Obviously, the level of the Holy Realm has more or less explored the rules, and the scavenger in front of him already has the prototype of the rule. That is, immortality. The prototype means that you haven't understood it yet. Don't be rude, you are right. It's a pity that Ye Chen specializes in bells and whistles. You flame, a little weak. The scavenger patted his body. A skin-like thing fell off him. Ye Chen was dumbfounded. Can this scavenger shed its skin? It's my first time seeing you. You are the first to say that I'm weak in flames. Ye Chen stood on the sea and looked up at him, a little helpless. If only he could fly. The wooden dragon was swallowed up by the flames and turned into ashes. You have to find a way to add ignition protection to wood style. Otherwise wood style will be unstable after this. Oh, that means that you have encountered weak people before. Since I'm the first to say that your flame is weak, let me be the last person to say that your flame is weak. The scavenger's eyes glowed with golden light, and 2 emission lines were emitted from the scavenger's eyes. Ye Chen turned slightly to the side. 2 golden rays of light shot into the water and exploded instantly. 2 water columns erupted behind Ye Chen. You got one thing wrong. You said you wanted to be the last person to say my flames were weak. Ye Chen opened his mouth with a smile. Wrong. I'm not mistaken. That's what it means. The scavenger responded with a grin. Number 1. You're not human. Number 2. It's true that no one will ever say my flame is weak, because every time I fight in the future, I will choose to kill you in seconds. Ye Chen's voice resounded in the scavenger's ears like Shinigami. Jikayan Meng was shocked and quickly controlled the power of space to transfer in one direction instantly. This kid will definitely use that one. Anyway, at this time, it's right to run. Ye Chen threw a sword flower from Raijin Jaka, who was on his shoulders looking straight at the scavenger. I don't know why, but the scavenger always felt that something was wrong, and he always felt extremely frightened in his heart. That feeling, when I was a cub, I once felt. Bankei. Ye Chen's voice shouted out softly. Zhang Binking, who was far away in Kyoto, stood up abruptly and looked in the direction of Zhanghai City. That guy used that trick again. Could it be that it's a tricky thing? Zhang Binking of the ice system is naturally very sensitive to changes in temperature. At the same time, 1,000-meter long Jian Long suddenly felt a burning sensation. Suddenly looking into the distance, I saw a human being holding a long knife in front of a holy man, and that saint in the sky is exactly his goal this time. The evil Flood King was stunned. The feeling of heat, as if he had felt it the day before yesterday, and now noticed it in a human again. The evil Flood King frowned slightly as he danced wildly in the sea. The temperature around Ye Chen suddenly rose, and a stream of water vapor emanated from Ye Chen. Together with the sea water under your feet, it started to boil instantly. Remnant Fire Sword. Ye Chen called out that name in a low voice. Countless flames merged into the residual fire sword, and a touch of residual smoke rose from the tip of the knife. The scavenger was stunned. The oncoming hot feeling. Why is it that there is no flame in front of him, but there is a feeling of being hotter than before? Chapter 146. A python with an alienated candle dragon root. Ye Chen felt the violent power of the remnant fire sword hidden in the sword. Throughout the south blue, the temperature continued to rise, and the sea water boiled instantly. Countless sea beasts surfaced, and even the extinct volcanoes under the sea began to move. The scavenger was completely panicked. The temperature in the air was enough to steam himself. What kind of power is this? Jikayan Meng, who was 500 kilometers away, fanned frantically. Mother Zippy, I knew. The first time he used Bankei, Ye Chen only used one knife. And this time, Ye Chen wanted to try. Could he kill him without using his skills and just relying on swordsmanship? Remnant Fire Sword East. Rising Sun Blade. Ye Chen crossed the residual fire sword to the front of him. Come on, little fish. Let me cut a knife. Ye Chen, who had no flames all over his body, let the scavenger run straight away. I won't fight you anymore. I suddenly remembered that I have an old friend waiting for me. In mid-air, the scavenger ran away. Ye Chen Shunpo followed up and quickly approached the scavenger while holding the residual fire sword. Let me slash right now. If you don't die, I can spare your life. If you force me to use the ashes of heaven and earth, I will be embarrassed. Let you slash. With a slash, I'll be gone. The scavenger yelled anxiously. He ran in the sky. Ye Chen chased on the water wherever he passed. The sea water boiled and evaporated instantly. It no longer rained in the sky because the high temperature of 15 million degrees directly burned the water vapor together. The description here may conflict with the previous scene, that is, the scene where the water vapor around Ye Chen appeared. But after Bankai is completed, there will be no more water vapor, because the water vapor is also burned. That is what it means. Ji Kai and Meng hid thousands of miles away, still holding a piece of steak, which was the meat of the crazy cow that Zhang Bingking took out yesterday. The dead beast has no spiritual energy to protect the body, and the meat is quickly cooked under the roasting of the air. This ability is quite useful, don't need an oven. While complaining, he sprinkled cum in. However, when he heard Ye Chen say something like, "Let me cut a knife, just a knife," he suddenly felt no longer hot, but his back became cold. Then I heard the scavenger say, "I'll let you slash, and I'll be gone." Suddenly I felt that these lines were a little familiar, and then I looked at the scavenger with a little pity. It escaped from his pursuit, and it is hard to fly in this way. The chase time passed for 2 minutes. The two ran for more than 10 kilometers, and Ye Chen's points skyrocketed again. Don't give your face shame. Ye Chen started to get a little impatient. If you run again, I'm going to zoom in. Ji Kai and Meng on the side has already started to panic. 2 minutes have passed. Big brother, if you use this trick for another 7 or 8 minutes, Blue Star will become the second sun. Ye Chen also realized this, because when he was chasing, he had already noticed the lava gushing out from the ground behind him. I will kill a strange beast by myself later, and I will end the world with land crossing. Thinking of this, Ye Chen stopped instantly. To be honest, most of his spiritual power has been used up, and this is still the case when Sage Mode and Void Power are on together. The Rising Sun Blade is the least expensive move of the Remnant. Fire Sword and Ashes of Heaven and Earth, unfortunately, is the most expensive move, not one of them. Seeing Ye Chen stop, the scavenger didn't know why, and was not happy at all. Could it be that he just said that he was going to magnify this matter? Is it true? F***ck. Is it too late for me to surrender now? Remnant. Fire Sword North, Ashes of Heaven and Earth. Ye Chen raised his knife, waved it out, and the knife speed reached ultimate. The scavenger looked back and reacted instantly, tearing off one of his arms. How fast are the Ashes of Heaven and Earth? The speed of the whole series is the first point. The only reaction the scavenger could do was to tear his arm off and throw it into the sea. And his body was instantly pierced by the flames, severing in 2. Before he could say anything, his entire body turned to ashes. Ye Chen was not at all careless. Ye Chen could clearly see the scene when the scavenger tore his arm off. At this moment, the sea water continued to churn. Ye Chen stood on the sea, and it was a little difficult to stabilize his body. He looked at the movement under his feet in surprise. A black shadow burst out of the water. The huge head stared at Ye Chen, and the sea water flowed from a big mouth. In its claws was the arm that the scavenger had just torn off. I saw that the scavenger's arm was regenerating frantically at an incomprehensible speed. Ye Chen's eyes narrowed slightly, looking at the kilometer-long giant along in front of him. His brows slightly wrinkled. I know it's not that simple, but there is another holy beast, which is more or less troublesome. But what makes Ye Chen incomprehensible is that the scavenger can have such a terrifying regeneration speed. Is it more or less exaggerated? Human race, when did you have such a strong fire element ability? The evil Flood King looked at Ye Chen intently and said. Ye Chen's face was gloomy, and he was only a few hundred meters away from it now, but he didn't seem to be moved by the temperature of the residual fire sword, and he was even able to talk to himself. Ye Chen felt the spiritual power in his body, less than 20%. That is, the knife just used up 40% of his spiritual power. What kind of beast are you? Ye Chen secretly took out the spiritual stone from the system space and recovered his spiritual power. As for his small movements, the evil Flood Dragon King had already seen it, but he did not stop it. Ha ha ha, you don't know me. The evil Flood King laughed loudly. Should I know you? Seeing Ye Chen's expression without a trace of emotion, the evil Flood King believed that the kid in front of him might not really know him. This deity is the king of East Blue Candle Dragon. The evil Dragon King's eyes were full of killing intent, and he stared at Ye Chen and said. Ye Chen immediately lost his mind when he heard the name Point Candle Dragon. In the legend, that mythical beast that opens its eyes for day and closes its eyes for night. If it really exists in mythology, can this still be fought? Yo, isn't this the evil Flood King? A little snake with a candle dragon alienation root, who calls himself a candle dragon? Ji Qianmeng's voice sounded beside Ye Chen across the space point. A space door opened beside Ye Chen, and Ji Qianmeng was talking on the other side point. After all, the temperature around Ye Chen was too high, and he was not as strong as a beast. Ji Qianmeng, you're not dead yet. The evil Flood King suddenly widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. After all, Ji Qianmeng had not shown his face for 100 years, and thought he was dead. Joke. I won't die even if you die. Ji Qianmeng's words made the evil Dragon King very upset. Ha ha ha. It seems that today, the two saints of the human race are destined to die in my hands. The evil Flood Dragon King suddenly burst out laughing, ignoring Ji Qianmeng's words. To be precise, you might have a dozen or three today. Zhang Bingking floated above the 10,000 meter altitude, staring at the candle dragon. Chapter 147. The Evil Flood King and -039's cowardly group. The moment Zhang Bingking spoke, Zilong was shocked. I didn't notice any aura from Zhang Bingking. Some were just the fluctuations of the aura flying. I thought some beast flew by. However, the candle dragon immediately reacted. How could there be alien beasts in the four sacred auras here? Did Zhang Bingking break the mirror? Become a demigod? Zhu Long was a little flustered, but calmed down immediately. There are some concerns on both sides. Zhang Bingking was also very uneasy in his heart. After all, among so many sacred beasts, the evil Flood Dragon King was definitely the strongest. And Ye Chen used the residual fire sword, and his ice element could not be used directly. It can only fly a little higher. Not to mention that he is only a clone, and the main body has not been moved in the north. I don't know if I can scare the evil Dragon King. And although Ji Qianmeng's space ability has a magical effect in Ye Chen's state, it can't cause a powerful attack. Not to mention Ye Chen, the spiritual energy in his body was burning frantically, with his left hand behind him. Absorbing spiritual stones one by one was just enough to consume the rising sunblade. Other skills are unavailable. 3 saints came for a sacred beast. I'm afraid that the target has always been the deity, right? Why does the evil Flood King need to talk? It's enough after a fight. Ji Qianmeng said. The ring in her hand burst into purple light, ready to act at any time. And Ye Chen was stunned. Is this evil Flood King a brain bug? So I have to fight again? Ye Chen shook his head and instantly became serious. The residual fire sword pointed directly at the evil Flood Dragon King. Just the three of you? If Bei Junjian is here, I can still give him 3 points. If it's you, can you cause harm to me? Although the evil Flood Dragon King was a little weak, his mouth was unequivocal. The one in your hand just now said how strong his life is. Look at what happens to him now. Ye Chen said without panic. The evil Flood King was slightly startled, looking at the unknown beast in his hand that was rapidly repairing his body. I can't hold it in my heart. Logically speaking, a beast with such a powerful self-healing ability will not be too weak in defense. Zhang Bingking and Ji Qianmeng didn't say a word, as if the current Ye Chen was their backbone. Can you let me slash? Ye Chen smiled gloomily again before the evil Flood King could speak. The evil Flood King seemed to have understood something. The few people in front of him had been talking harshly from just now to now, but they didn't act rashly. There are several possibilities. One is that the opponent doesn't have much fighting ability left, and the other is the knife in that kid's hand. After thinking about it, the evil Flood King always felt that the second reason was a little more because of these few words. The water level of South Blue seems to have dropped a lot. The evil Flood King smiled. Hahaha, I thought why didn't you do it? It turns out that you didn't dare to do it. That knife, isn't it easy to control? Ji Qianming and Zhang Bingqing frowned upon hearing this. Ye Chen's expression changed slightly and then said frivolously, it's really hard to control. With a high temperature of 15 million degrees, even my body can't keep up with the repairability. Guess, how long can Blue Star last before it perishes? The evil Flood King was stunned, and he glanced at the long knife subconsciously. He knew how strong his body was, but that long knife did make him feel threatened. If it is really 15 million degrees, then unless you step into a demigod, you can't bear it. The evil king was silent, and the scene was very embarrassing. You didn't notice the knife just now, did you? Ye Chen's voice sounded, and the evil flood dragon looked intently. How many underwater volcanoes have erupted with that knife? If I hit again, the evil flood king paid attention to the situation on the seabed. Indeed, as Ye Chen said, the seabed was full of magma flow. I don't think you are willing to fight with me here. It's easy for me to strike again, but if Blue Star is destroyed for this reason, no matter whether it is human or alien, there is no room for survival. Ye Chen spoke gloomily. The evil Flood King was silent. He didn't care about the death of the ethnic group, but if Blue Star perished, he would have to die in nothingness. What do you think? The evil Flood King's clothes softened, with murderous intent hidden in the depths of his eyes. This kid must die. What do you think? Let me advise you again. This state has been in this state for 5 minutes. It is estimated that in another 5 minutes, the alien beasts on your seabed should be almost dead. The evil Dragon King's face was very gloomy, and his heart was extremely irritable. How can there be such a terrible ability? 15 million degrees of heat. Thinking of this, the evil Flood King's huge claws suddenly opened and threw the scavenger's arm towards Ye Chen. I don't want it. This matter is over. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, watching the scavenger's arm fly towards him. Raised the residual fire sword. The tip of the blade touched slightly. In an instant, the scavenger's arm instantly turned to ashes. The evil king's heart trembled. Although the defense of that arm is not comparable to his own, the defense of the first entry into the Holy Realm is comparable to that of himself, who has not yet transformed into a dragon. But in front of the knife, he couldn't hold on for a second. The evil Flood King suddenly felt how correct his decision was, and Ye Chen is also secretly supporting. During the maintenance of the Rising Sun Blade, the spiritual power spent not erasing the item is different from erasing the item. The current self spiritual power has almost bottomed out. The evil Flood King silently glanced at Ye Chen. You're fine. I remember you. After saying this, the evil Flood King plunged into the sea and disappeared instantly. Ye Chen was instantly relieved when he saw the evil Flood King disappear. Bankei disappeared from his hands. My limit has been reached. 6 minutes. Bankei. Blue Star has not been destroyed. Thank goodness. Zhang Bingqing saw Ye Chen put Bankei away, landed instantly, and used the remaining spiritual power in his body to skillfully open the field of ice again. The three tacitly did not speak, because the evil Flood King just left. Who knows if he will be nearby? The seawater around Ye Chen was constantly evaporating, and Zhang Bingqing could only control the temperature to neutralize it. But after all, his own temperature couldn't help much. And just as everyone thought, the evil Flood King was hiding in the dark and waiting for an opportunity. Although the evil Dragon King is not yet a candle dragon, he has already mastered a lot of yin and yang power, which is why he is immune to temperature. At this moment, the evil Flood King is hiding in the shadowy space, observing the movements of the three people. Ye Chen's Sage Mode and Void Power have been taken back. The evil Flood King was dumbfounded when he saw Ye Chen's sudden breath drop. Isn't this guy a holy place? Exclamation mark. But it has the strength of the Holy Land. But now that Zhang Bingqing and Ji Qianming are here, the evil Flood King is still somewhat cowardly. After all, it's hard to say that the two saints really have to fight for their lives. Chapter 148. The evil Flood King who controls yin and yang, and the Beijunjian who was attacked him. However, this time the evil Flood King did not come without gain. On the one hand, he got the news of the kid who had the fighting power in the Holy Realm, and on the other hand, he knew that Ji Qianming was still alive. More importantly, He has kept a sacred powerhouse point. I saw the evil Flood King slowly open his palm, and a mass of minced meat was quickly reborn. Point. The evil Flood King smiled slightly. You are really lucky, originally. Thought, to keep a piece of minced meat. As long as this guy can be resurrected, it will be earned, and the rest will depend on his fortune. Point. The result turned out to be really possible, which made the evil Flood King a little curious about this sacred alien beast. Point. With such a powerful vitality, the future will definitely be the powerful combat power of the alien beasts. However, the evil Flood King was still troubled. After all, if Ye Chen was not removed this time, he would not know when the next time would be. Point. The evil Flood King and the Yin space became more and more angry, but he had no choice but to leave first. Point. With Ji Kai and Meng around, he can definitely move to a safe place before he takes action. Ye Chen and the three did not know that they were in just a few dozen seconds. There is such a strange beast. I have thought about it 4 or 5 times, but the evil Flood King never dreamed that if he didn't do it this time, he would never have another chance. Point. He thought that after the strength reached the Holy Realm, the improvement of the combat power would become slow. Point. Because in his eyes, although Ye Chen is not yet in the Holy Land, his master's ability has already touched the rules, and there should be no chance to soar his combat power. After all, the rules are not so easy to control. You can help me think about the rules of wood style. Although I have my own ideas, I want to see if there are better ones. Ye Chen lay on the water for 3 full hours. Ji Kai and Meng and Zhang Bingqing did not dare to leave. Who knows if the evil king would suddenly come back. Point. And Bei Junjian also felt the aura of the evil Flood King suddenly appeared in South Blue Point. But within a few minutes, the aura of the evil Flood Dragon disappeared, and the auras of several other people still existed. So I was relieved. Point. When the evil Flood King hides in the yin space, he ignores any collision area, penetrates everything like a ghost, and does not leak a breath. And as long as he hides in the yin space, no one else can see him. Point. This is also the reason why Bei Junjian has been attacked by the evil Flood King. Before Zhang Bingqing broke into the Holy Land, Bei Junjian kept running back and forth all by himself, guarding the North Realm for a while, and East Blue for a while. Point. At that time, Ji Kai and Meng disappeared, the Yan Sage of the Yan family fell again, and the demigods were going to sit in the southwest again. Point. Not to mention the old god stick. He has no fighting power, therefore he has been attacked by the Dapping Bird and the evil Dragon King. Point. Especially the evil Flood King, who would suddenly appear at every turn and give Bei Junjian a dragon swinging tail. Point. A big pussy Kabuto runs away. At that time, his wife was pregnant, that is, Basin had not yet been born. Point. And then the White family has always been handed down. Bei Junjian, who has been away for many years, suddenly found out that his wife was pregnant and thought that he had been raped. Point. That night, he carried his sword and chased down the evil Flood King for 3 days and 3 nights. However, Bei Junjian has always felt some guilt for Basin and Fankir. I couldn't help their mother and son, but Ji Kai and Meng's whereabouts were unknown at that time, which made Bei Junjian unable to leave the 2 front lines to visit their mother and son. Point. Of course, here, I have to admire Bei Junjian and Fankir. I just wanted to know how you guys managed to get in the same room a year later pregnant and then having a baby. Is it Bei Junjian's genetic mutation or Fankir's genetic mutation? Who knows? I really don't know what to give today's reward. How about I restore your hair? Ye Chen just wanted to speak. No, Zhang Bingqing and Ji Kai and Meng next to him were slightly taken aback. What happened to this kid? As Ye Chen swallowed his words, the system's voice came again. You are welcome. Then, Ji Kai and Meng and Zhang Bingqing were shocked, and Ye Chen started to MP. Point. You give me this number of rewards? Fuck me. You boy, will your hair recover? Ji Kai and Meng couldn't help but speak. How could I know? Ye Chen frowned and said he didn't know how to deal with it. Point. Anyway, you don't know everything, but your eyebrows, why didn't they grow back? Besides, why are your upper body clothes burned and your lower body pants still there? Ji Kai and Meng asked curiously. Ye Chen suddenly touched his eyebrows when he heard the words. His eyes were full of wonder. What the hell, you dog system, saying that hair is really hair? How many eyebrows will you dye? Nonsense. If I lose my pants, I can't run naked every day. Ye Chen said to Ji Kai and Meng, wanting to cry without tears. Zhang Bingqing was on the side. His face was very calm. What a good guy. Talking about astringent topics in broad daylight. Haha, streaking every day is a bit bad. Ji and Meng laughed and suddenly changed the subject. You kid, you should use this flame's ability less in the future. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment. You old man still have two faces. I was just laughing out loud, but in the blink of an eye, I was told to use it less with the gloomy face. Zhang Bingking also nodded silently. Your ability is too strong. Blue Star can't hold such a flame. You just fell into the sea. When you step into the upper three realms or the holy realm, can your flames directly destroy the world? Maybe. I have full control of the fire behind me, then. I'll talk about it later. Every time you use this flame, you have to fight alone. Anyway, I can't interfere with the old man. Zhang Bingking also shrugged angrily. He was an ice type and instantly lost his ability to fight, let alone anything else. Okay, I know. It's really troublesome. I'll just use the wood system. Ye Chen is so helpless. To be honest, I haven't fully experienced the joy of this instant killing. Compared with the crushing of wood style and the burning of everything by the residual fire, the second person is even better. Now that the matter in Zhanghai City is over, I will go to the north with Ice Phoenix next, and then I will hand over East Blue to you and Beijunjian. Yes, you know, don't worry, you're very perfunctory, you know that. Ji and Meng put her hand on Ye Chen's shoulder angrily. After several hours of cooling, it has dropped to a safe temperature point. Just as he was about to signal Zhang Bingking to give his hand to himself, Zhang Bingking suddenly shook his head. The mission of this avatar is completed. There is no need to go back to the capital with you. Senior G. See you in the north. See you in the north. G. and Meng nodded and said point. When Zhang Bingking released his clone in situ, his consciousness was withdrawn from Zhang Bingking's clone. The entire clone was instantly frozen into an ice sculpture and shattered. Ji and Meng pulled Ye Chen to use the space to transfer. Ye Chen suddenly said something. By the way, when did you let me cut a knife? Chapter 149 Wood Style and Sage Body Enhancement. Ji and Meng ignored Ye Chen's words and gave you a knife. What happened to the scavenger? You thought I wasn't there, so you couldn't see it. Ye Chen returned to the capital and had a farewell meal with Ji Ziodo and Fang Qingshan. Zhang Jirei returned to Zhanghai City because his mission was over. It is the ruined villa that is still being rebuilt. I have to say that the craftsmanship of the old master is not to be picky. Every detail is perfectly restored. If everyone didn't know that this villa was destroyed, I really don't know that it was rebuilt. On the Daodian platform, Ye Chen's name is still on the first hotspot. The 18-year-old saint is even more enchanting than Zhang Bingking back then. What's more, he immediately became famous with this wave of one-on-one meteorites. Last time someone said that the 30,000 meter Buddha can't handle meteorites, which is very shameful. I wanted to laugh at that time. Have you ever done bullets? The bullets are so small, can you try it? One is an area attack, the other it's a penetration attack. You can try to block one. Night. Ye Chen sat alone on the rooftop of Ji Ziodo's house. Countless stars sparkled in the sky. This is Ye Chen's second time to calm down and look at the sky. The world is a little small. How long has it been since I came to this world? As if there was no pressure at all. East Blue. Front line. Evil Flood King. Next time I see you, you will die. Ye Chen's mentality seems to have undergone some changes during the days when he came to this world. How many things have you done? Ye Chen himself forgot a little. Ye Chen subconsciously opened the system interface. It's still the same layout, nothing has changed. It's just that the enhancement panel is on. Ye Chen silently clicked in. Senju Hashirama Wood Style Enhanced Requirements. 100 million points enhancement content, wood hardness enhancement, growth speed enhancement, Mount Maiboku, Shabone Forest, Raichi Cave, 3 Holy Land Special Edition Sage Body, strengthening requirements. 1 billion points enhancements, Hokage World Class Sage Body Raijin Jackal Intensive Demand. 100 million points enhancement content, no Shikei state, can easily use the fire ability, hair is free from fire. Power of Menace Grand, strengthening requirements. 100 million points enhancement content, Strengthen the steel skin. Unlock the black Zero. Strengthen the ring. Hollow armor covers the left arm Manjaki Sharingan without Kamu enhancement requirement. 100 million points strengthening content. Eternal Manjaki. Strengthening spiritual power current available credits. 273,548,789. Ye Chen stared at the enhancement panel in a daze. In fact, he had seen it before. I just don't know which one to strengthen. Wood style strengthens hardness and growth speed, which will definitely make wood style skills shorter. In the dozens of seconds when through several thousand hands appeared, if the opponent was strong and fast enough to kill him. Ye Chen had already discovered that from the last enhancement of the power of void. The things in the enhancement content will be possessed after being strengthened, but they will not have any other effect. And now these 5 powerful talents, you can choose 2 to strengthen. Among them, the strengthening of Raijinjaka can be said to be the least cost effective one among the 5 options, and Raijinjaka can't use it anymore. It's easy to lose a blue star, so the only means of attack are wood style and Sharingan. The other 2 are to strengthen the physical body and the upper limit of aura storage. For a while, Ye Chen fell into deep thought. Strengthen wood style and sage body. Wood style, at least during the slaughter, can also do a greenery. By the way, the life-saving strength of sage body is much better than that of Menace Grand. After all, there is no high-speed regeneration enhancement on the enhancement panel. Thinking of this, Ye Chen tapped wood style's reinforcement on the reinforcement panel. The strengthening panel changed slightly. Immortal wood style, strengthening demand, 1 billion points enhanced content, mixed with yin yang shield, enhanced fire immunity, inextinguishable rules. Ye Chen's expression also changed slightly. As expected, he could continue to evolve. But Ye Chen didn't think much about it, and made a slight seal. A branch made of wood style appeared in his hand, and the emerald green branch was under the light, almost blinding Ye Chen's eyes. Is this really wood style? Is wood style this color? Ye Chen was speechless at the time, and later used through several thousand hands again. An emerald green giant Buddha appeared. Not quite right. The degree of hardness, Ye Chen also felt it. Compared with the previous wood style, the hardness was several times higher. The previous wood style can easily smash boulders, but the current wood style should be able to easily stop meteorites. As soon as the hardness is improved, the attack power and defense power are improved by several grades, but this color is a bit not used to it. The next step is the improvement of sage body. Ye Chen, who was already mentally prepared, clicked the strengthening key without saying a word. Hokage world-class sage body, a sage of 6 paths body that cannot be strengthened and reaches its peak. How strong is a direct reference to Madara being kicked and not dying. His body can recover quickly, and he is still alive after being cut in 2. Ye Chen was stunned when he looked at the inability to strengthen the back of sage body. I thought there would be some unexpected joy, but it ended here. The instant improvement of the sage body, Ye Chen's body's perception of the spiritual energy around him also became stronger and stronger. Sage mode has been deleted directly. Now Ye Chen belongs to it, and sage mode is on all the time. Sage body in the great breath of good fortune. One absorbs the energy in nature and converts it into aura, and the other absorbs the aura. The speed of restoring aura is directly pulled to full level. If the residual fire sword is used again, let alone the ashes of heaven and earth, even the waning sun prison clothes and the fire and fire 10 trillion death burial formation can be used. Ye Chen didn't know if his current aura could be comparable to that of a saint. In fact, it is almost the same. The consumption of wood style and Raijinjaka is too great. That night, Ye Chen took wood style and pierced a hole in his thigh. Then Ye Chen was dumbfounded. What about my blood? What about my meat? A huge hole appeared, but no blood flowed out. And it's growing at a very rapid rate. You must know that Ye Chen has not used the power of the virtual, and the activation condition of high speed regeneration needs to be obtained when the power of the virtual is used. Although I don't seem to be human anymore. Ye Chen was actually a little excited when people die, so I'm not a human being. Chapter 150. The situation has changed. Ye Chen replaced Beijunji into guard East Blue. Early the next morning, before Ye Chen finished his breakfast, Ji Kai and Meng came to the door. The scavenger isn't dead. Ah, you kidding me? Last night, the evil Flood King took the scavenger and attacked the Juggernaut. Really not dead? Ye Chen replied directly, after forgetting to swallow the steamed buns in his mouth. Fortunately, Beijunjian, the Sword Saint's name, is worthy of the name. One fight and two defeats the two holy realms. Ji Kai and Meng sighed deeply. The yin space of the evil Flood King is really hard to guard against. The moment Beijunjian was attacked, his subordinates immediately turned to the old magician for help. When Ji Kai and Meng arrived at East Blue, the two shameless holy beasts, the scavenger and the evil Flood King, slaughtered thousands of human warriors and ran away. Ye Chen's face became very gloomy. That little snake is deceiving me. Although the juggernaut repelled the two of them, he was not lightly injured, so he endured the injury and sat in East Blue. That is to say, while the juggernaut is recovering, you need to sit in East Blue alone. I'm afraid. Ji Kai and Meng looked at Ye Chen with some worry. He naturally knows what the strength of the evil Flood Dragon King is, not to mention adding a scavenger, and there are also many semi-holy beasts under the evil Flood Dragon King. But Beijunjian's injury can't be delayed any longer. Fine. East Blue, it's enough for me to be alone. Ye Chen swallowed the bun in his mouth and said to Ji Kai and Meng. Ji Kai and Meng was stunned and then carefully observed Ye Chen's state. Fuck. Entering the Holy Land overnight, Ye Chen smiled slightly and floated directly in the air, which was also one of the abilities of Sage Body in the true sense. According to the specific situation, Ye Chen has not entered the starry realm at this moment. It's not that exaggerated. I'm still in the sea now, but I've become a little stronger. Ye Chen's humble voice exploded in Ji Kai and Meng's mind. Is this fucking human? You might as well tell me directly that you are already a holy place. At least I'm mentally balanced. You tell me that you have reached the Holy Land, and I will be shocked at most. But you said that you still fell into the sea. A group of uncomfortable feelings in my heart. Ye Chen saw that Ji Kai and Meng was silent and didn't think much about it. Don't worry, my strength is growing very fast. Isn't it because the realm has not kept up? Small problem. Ji Kai and Meng wanted to cry without tears. I finally reassured myself that I was fine. But you said that my strength has grown rapidly. By the way, look at this. Ye Chen made a symbolic contact with both hands, and a wooden stick appeared in his hand. Ji Kai and Meng looked at the emerald green stick and was a little stunned. Holding it in his hand, his face changed slightly. What is this? Such high quality. Ji Kai and Meng was shocked. A small wooden stick weighed more than 10 pounds. My wood style. How's it going? Ye Chen said with a smile on his face, with a smug look on his face. Your wood style got stronger again. At that time, Ji Kai and Meng had mixed feelings in his heart, and the gap between people was always so strong. Yeah, so don't worry, East Blue is handed over to me. Isn't it just an evil dragon? He's dead. Although Ji Kai and Meng was very disappointed. Hearing Ye Chen's words also calmed down a lot. After all, the stronger Ye Chen, the more secure the human race. In terms of individuals, the gap is huge, and it is natural to feel unwilling. But above the general trend, the stronger one's own side is, the better. Get ready. The Sword Saint has already arranged the high-level combat power of his subordinates to wait for you, and we will set off immediately. No, you can go now. Ye Chen smiled slightly, with a bit of coldness in his eyes. I can't wait to slaughter a dragon. Ji Kai and Meng nodded. Okay. He put his hand directly on Ye Chen's shoulder. East Blue has a huge range. It is less than a few hundred kilometers east of Daksha Kyoto Point, but it needs to go another 800 kilometers to the south. According to Ji Kai and Meng's speed, it can be reached in the blink of an eye. Because of this distance, just 3 space transfers are enough. At this moment, Beijunjian stood above the sky with a pale face. He stared straight at the entire ocean with a slightly unwilling look in his eyes. I heard that Ye Chen killed the scavenger and helped the human race to remove a sacred beast. Unexpectedly, that night, that guy from the evil Flood Dragon took a scavenger to attack him. Accidentally, I almost killed myself. Now this battlefield can only be handed over to Ye Chen, and he must go to heal as soon as possible. Lord Juggernaut, the combat power above Fangxing realm has all arrived. Behind Beijunjian, a voice came. I see. After Saying this, Beijunjian didn't hesitate and looked away from the sea reluctantly. Fly down. Thousands of troops stood neatly in front of Beijunjian. Beijunjian was very emotional since he started guarding East Blue. These people have been following him. I didn't even go home a few times to call everyone here today. It's nothing. I just want you to see and see the highest speaker of East Blue's future. As soon as this sentence came out, the field instantly became a mess. Frowned and asked, Master Sword Saint, do you mean to change someone to take over the East Blue battle? Yes. Beijunjian took a deep look at the half-sage, feeling a little helpless in his heart. This is a thorn in the head. Ye Chen's boy. Some feel uncomfortable. Yesterday, in the Yaruchi battle, although the enemy's 2 sacred beasts were repelled, I was also seriously injured. Now I can't stop the evil Flood King from attacking again. Beijunjian said this very directly. What he said is also true. At this moment, his internal organs are almost shattered. If it weren't for the cultivation of the Holy Realm to maintain the vital signs, I'm afraid that I would be ready to eat this. The expressions of the 3.5 saints present changed slightly. Beijunjian raised his hand to signal the 3 of them to be quiet. This time, the one here is stronger than me, so everyone can rest assured that East Blue's defense line will not be breached, and nothing will happen to the homeland behind him. Hearing Beijunjian's words, thousands of people off the field couldn't believe it. The 3 holy realms, plus Ji Qian Meng's return, and Ye Chen. There are 5 in total, and on the bright side, the strongest holy realm has always been Beijunjian. Can anyone be stronger than Beijunjian? Well, how strong is it? Why don't he show it to you? Beijunjian was about to say something, but he felt a wave of space behind him and threw the question directly to Ye Chen. As soon as Ye Chen and Ji Qian Meng appeared, they heard Beijunjian say this. Senior Bei, I just arrived. Can't wait to see my strength. Ye Chen smiled and bowed to Beijunjian. Beijunjian quickly bowed back. You and I are both holy places, so there is no need for so much etiquette. Ji Qian Meng said in surprise. Boy, you have such a polite day. I really opened my eyes. Can you always not dismantle the stage? Ye Chen glanced at Ji Qian Meng depressedly and said to Beijunjian, did Senior White just want to see my strength? Then I will show you one. P.S. My God, I'm really tired of writing foreshadowing these 2 chapters. My brain cells are running out. It's more tiring than me writing battle plots. Write, delete, modify, delete, rewrite. I'm so sick of it. I can't do it if I don't write it. Otherwise I can't take a break. Ye Chen will be a boss at East Blue. Headache. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.